Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway for tonight's coverage of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Countdown to Green. Hello, everyone. My name is Blake McCandless, and in just a couple of moments, I'll be joined alongside our all-star panel of former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers in Chris Overland and Michael Guerrilla, as well as former series winner Brandon Cattell. But before we do that, these drivers have had 2 long weeks to sit and mull over all the excitement, drama, and implications that Las Vegas had to offer us. Let's take a look.
Pace car is off, green flag in the hand of Barney, and we are underway for round number 3 in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
It was Blade Witt in that 14 for Quick Boy Racing making contact with, I think that was Graham Bolin that went sideways there, and then a lot of big names at the back of the field.
Shearburn was patient for a couple laps, was able now to get to the inside. This is going to get tied off of corner number 4, a little sideways for the 36 of Shearburn. Luza on the extreme outside, doesn't want to pull his foot out of it. Going to be Wilson leading this lap. Does Blade Witt stay on the racetrack, or does he pull it down into pit road? It looks like he's coming in. Ryan Luza back to the front. He won 3 in a row at this racetrack from 17 to 19, and it looks like he is going to return to victory lane for a 4th time. And Ryan Luza goes to victory lane for the first time in 21.
Well, guys, again, we are joined alongside our entire panel of former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series stars, or as I like to call them, current Road to Pro qualifying series drivers. It makes us feel like we're on a level playing field.
All right.
Did you,
Starting it off.
Did you just call us all stars?
Hey,
I did.
I'll take that.
I did.
Yeah,
again,
I definitely prefer all stars.
Better to be a has-been than it ever was. Am I right? I mean,
Yeah.
at least you guys have been in the series. But
We'll go with that.
all right, guys. Well, guess what, guys? It was Las Vegas. Wasn't that just an absolutely crazy race?
I lost a lot of money gambling, but yes, it was a crazy race.
Well, what'd you have on
Really?
the line
Oh,
there,
all
Chris?
Hey man, we don't speak about it.
I gotcha. Well, all right, guys. And speaking of Las Vegas, Mike, I'll start with you, talking about kind of the recap of that race. It seems like no matter what, if it's real NASCAR, if it's eNASCAR, different winners seem to plague each series, and that has certainly held true in this series so far this year.
Yeah, indeed it has, Blake, and that's the theme. We've been having continuing different winners throughout the season so far. I mean, we've already had 3 races on the season at Homestead, Daytona, and Las Vegas, and they've had 3 different winners with Michael Connie, Keegan Leahy, and Ryan Luza. So, I mean, we talked about it previously on the Roll of Fulham segment last week, where Chris said that we're going to have 11 different winners. So far,
3 for 3.
Yeah, he's going 3 for
Make
3.
it-
Come
Yeah.
on.
So, I mean, Chris is on the right path so far, and maybe he can keep going tonight with 4 for 4 tonight at Atlanta.
He may very well do that. And Chris, I'll go ahead and kick it off to you. Again, one of the things that really happened last week that we hadn't seen, we talked about it last week in the pre-race show. Cautions hadn't been a thing to speak of this season. And all of a sudden, Las Vegas, well, that completely turned all of that around.
Yeah, I mean, we finally saw our first yellow flag of the year when Mitchell DeYoung blew his motor in front of the field. And then from that point on, the drivers were just like, all right, we're done playing nice. Get out of my way. I know we saw the 14 cause an incident as well, but the silver lining to that is cautions provide opportunity for these drivers. Brian Schoenberg, he's been in the series for a long time. We've been waiting to see Brian Schoenberg back into his form. These cautions gave him the opportunity to go from 28th on the grid to a top 10 finish in that 47 car. Not to mention, we also had Jake Nichols, who started further in the back, played the tire strategy right. He was able to get another top 10 on his resume, and that may not have happened with all these cautions because track position is so important, especially when nobody's wrecking. And then, you know, on the other side of that as well, Daytona winner Michael Conti got involved in one of those cautions. That's a lot of points available for these guys trying to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. No, that is true. These cautions really shake things up. And speaking of shaking things up, Brandon, I'll throw it over to you. Pit strategy, and one in particular, Malik Ray, and the strategy he tried to pull last race with these cautions, it really just throws everything into complete chaos.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Malik tried to stretch it there on fuel at the end of the race. He was running in the top 10 for most of the race. He did a wild kind of pit strategy call there to see if he can make it on fuel and go for the win, which I don't blame him. He's going for the win, you know. He's trying to make the playoffs. Yeah, Chris, you like the call, but yeah, it was one of those calls. You make your bed, you hope you get the win, you know, and you hope you advance to the playoffs. But another thing too, what these drivers will have to watch out for tonight is tire sets. You got 6 sets in the pits. That's six sets that you gotta last for the end of the race.
I got to tell you, 6 sets, that is a lot for Atlanta. But, I mean, you guys have raced in this series before at Atlanta. Is 6 really enough, or?
Not the way I chew up tires, no.
Not at Atlanta.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, with the way Atlanta is, we've seen it in real life. They eat tires like it's nothing. Every time, even if they go 5 laps, they're going for different sets of tires. So it translates to the sim perfectly, and where that tire wear is very important. And anytime you get a fresh set of Goodyear Eagles, it's really important.
It really is. But looking back at Las Vegas, one thing that we were looking at and talking about pre-race was flying Ryan Luza's dominance going to continue in 2021. Well, guess what? He answered it that night. He goes to victory lane. We were lucky enough to speak with him and go behind the scenes for both what he does on and off the track.
I don't really know how things change. For me personally, I think it's just a big amount of stress lifted. Like I said, trying to get that win and just not having it. The longer you go into the season, the more stressed these drivers are, especially the playoff drivers like, you know, Jimmy, Zach, anyone that's championship worthy that hasn't gotten a win yet is going to feel a ton of pressure on themselves to go out and get a win. And just to have it taken care of, you know, on week 3 is just a huge amount of stress gone. And we can go out there and just try to get wins and not do anything reckless really, and just, you know, try to make the right calls and not do anything, I don't know, sketchy to try to get a win. And just it's a tough position because we don't need to be safe, but we also don't have to do anything like super risky. So it's just a nice medium ground where you can make the, I don't know, just the strategical calls that, you know, I think we should, and just, you know, run a textbook race and try to get wins. So I do pest control for my dad. It's a nice job. I enjoy it. And it's really nice too to have the flexibility in the schedule, especially come last year when we're running, you know, 4 races in the playoffs week to week, to be able to have a couple days off and actually just test like we need to do for, you know, $100,000. So that's definitely special. I enjoy the pest control. It's nice work. So that's that. And other than, you know, just working, I spend a lot of time doing other games. Like I play a lot of Valorant and, you know, shooters and stuff like that. So definitely a gamer at heart, not just sim racing. It was really special for me to get back in the late model last year. I think it had been 5 years since we raced at Five Flags and actually running late models consistently. So that was really special to go run the Snowflake. I mean, we were really fast all week, just a special experience. I think it made me cherish how much I missed, you know, the real life racing. We're trying to work out some things for this year, but just a bunch of question marks really. We're supposed to run here in Houston Motorsports Park in a modified, and we're talking to Jet about getting back in the late model at Five Flags later in the year. So hopefully all that works out. If not, you know, I still have the Coke Series races that I'm happy to be in.
Well, guys, is it safe to say that Ryan Luza ain't a loser? I'm just gonna.
Oh my!
I
Come
quit.
on, I had
I
to.
quit.
Oh, we're gonna have to need a new replacement
Chris?
after that one.
Oh man, where you gonna go, Chris? You gonna get back in the car?
Wow.
All right. You know, I may not look like Ryan. I may not be as fast as Ryan, but hey, you better be careful what you say, man. I like the segment. It was good.
It was great.
Oh no,
Better than the
was
punt.
I love to see that these guys can compete both in on the sim and in real life. I think that's going to be that's really cool to see. The lead up to the Snowball Derby, the Snowflake 100. I mean, he was running top 5 in that. He had a great run going. I think it's really cool to see these guys who can really translate both the real world and in the sim.
Yeah, the guy's a wheel man.
Yeah, he looks as though he's a real pest in the side of the competition.
These puns, man. What did I get myself into? What are we doing over here, guys? Knowing Ryan, he's been in the series for a few years now. He's actually become a pretty heavy favored driver in the series. It just seems like he comes out and he just gives it all he's got every single week, and especially at these 1.5 mile tracks, he is unbelievable. I did pick that we've gonna have 11 different winners at least this year. I think if somebody gets multiple, it's definitely gonna be Ryan Luza.
I definitely think, again, you do not want to bet against Ryan Luza. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up front or even in victory lane again tonight. But we're going to go ahead, and I love that we get to talk about individuals all the time. It's, of course, what everybody out there is watching. But one of the things that I love watching is these teams that obviously put their time into it. They get these drivers, and they want to go out there and win probably just as bad, if not more, than the drivers. And we're going to go ahead and talk about a few of those teams right now, whether some teams are hot or some teams are not. And we will start off with you, Michael. Hot or not? Which team you picking, and are they hot or not?
Well, Blake, I'm wearing the red shirt tonight. I got to go with somebody that has got to be a hot team. Yes, of course. It has to be a hot team, and it's got to be Exec Gaming. That's with Casey Kerwin and Ryan Luza behind the wheels of their machines, and they've been on fire, to say the least. Outside of Luza's Daytona finish, where he finished back in 38th, these guys haven't finished outside the top 15, so they're definitely stamping their mark on the season so far throughout the year. And just looking at the point standings, these guys have 26 points, back to second place with Team Dillon Esports. So that's a big gap considering how close the teams are behind them. So it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for the rest of the teams, and Casey Kerwin and Ryan Luza have definitely set their mark on the season so far, and they're definitely looking to do that tonight at Hotlanta.
I'm sure they are. And by the way, nice on the red shirt. It's almost like playing that.
Yeah, we almost did it.
Get a
I know. Coca-Cola red right here. Am I right?
Okay,
all right.
I agree on that point.
There we go. All right, Chris, you're next. What team you picking, and are they hot or not?
Well, kind of the contrast to Michael. I just want to point out that wearing a red shirt does not make you hot, but I don't know. We'll go with Richmond Raceway Esports. I'm gonna go ahead and say that these guys are not. I know that I'm gonna get blown up on Twitter for this. I know they're not gonna be too happy about it, but Jimmy Mullis and Zach Novak, a former champion and former playoff driver, what are you guys doing? P26 and P28 in the standings. It's gotta be better than that for those two. I know they're working as hard as they can. They've had some bad luck this year, but man, we're talking about these Road to Pro qualifying and Road to Pro Contender Series. They're in competition, and I really don't want them to be outside the top 20 come that. Don't want to be racing those guys.
No.
That's because you'll be in it, right? I mean,
absolutely, yeah, of course. You'll be finding a replacement for me in no time.
Oh boy. Well, and again, we want to give a shout out too. I saw news today that Brandon Brown, he's going to pursue other ventures and will be leaving Richmond Raceway Esports. So we salute you, Brandon. I'm sure Jimmy and Zach appreciate all the work you've done with them, the relationships you've formed with those guys over the last couple of years. So Brandon, we wish you well. You're next. How about Brandon? Hot or not?
I'm looking down the entire list here, and Team Dillon Esports. The boys, Corey Vincent, Taylor Hurst, they're starting out the year with 2 top 10s in the first 3 races. And that's what you got to do. You got to click off top 10s at the beginning of the year to steadily build up to get in the chance to winning races. And that's something that they'll need to do moving forward. They're doing exceptionally well early on, which is a great thing. I think another thing that you have to look at here, there's money on the line, guys. This is not something, just for grabs. It's money on the line. Everybody wants to win anything they possibly can in this series, even if it's team standings.
I love talking about money.
Oh, I know you do.
Oh, yeah. Boy.
Wish racing for this.
Did you say you lost a bunch of money though last betting?
You got to make it up somehow, right?
You got to keep me out of the
5
casinos,
minutes ago.
Man. Yeah, you got to keep me out of the casinos. I got a problem.
Oh, no. Well, we won't dive too deep into that. We will dive into teams, though, that I think are really up for debate, gentlemen, about whether they are hot or not. And the first team I have in mind is Joe Gibbs Racing. And I think about there is no bigger difference or contrast in the series between drivers that are doing well and not between Femi Olot and Ray Alfala.
Well, I mean, we've all been there before, right, guys? You order something online, you're waiting for it to get delivered, you notice it's been a couple days, a week. That's pretty much how it is right now with the mailman Ray Alfala. Ray, love you. You have not delivered this year whatsoever. 39th in points. How can I say that Joe Gibbs Racing is hot when they're 39th in points? They're not even 39th. Ray's not 39th. He's tied for 40th. You know, Ray is a 4-time champion.
Hey, you got
to expect a lot better.
Hey, you got to look at who's leading the ship right now. Femi Olot, man, is leading Joe Gibbs Racing, and he's doing exceptionally well.
I mean, I agree.
Well.
Yeah. I agree. Femi has overperformed in every category that I expected. Femi is doing phenomenally well for a rookie. If Ray just maybe get up into the top 30 in points.
Well, you know, I mean, first off, I want to say, Chris, that's a very good nickname for Ray. This is a mailman. I do like that. But
well, he is a mailman.
Yeah, he is. He is a mailman in real life. Yeah. But going back to Femi, I mean, for the fact that he's in that Team Joe Gibbs machine, and they just have something for prison rookies that performed so well. I mean, last year he had Graham Bolin almost make the playoffs, and now Femi's kind of picking up off where Graham left off on that team last year in 2020. So definitely Femi's hot. Ray has got to get back on the street. He's not. So overall, this is definitely a not for me.
Hey, if I remember, he was in the 21 car a couple years ago, and he has some of that bad luck. He'll turn it around. Trust me.
Yeah.
He's a time champion.
Not only a 4-time champion, isn't he a winner at Atlanta last season in this package? So
that's true.
Never know, could turn around tonight.
I would love it if Ray would make me eat my words tonight and get a victory. But right now, I'm not seeing it. I was teammates with him at Wood Brothers, and you know, most of the time I saw him on his roof. So
and there was one, especially at Darlington. I remember going underneath him. So yeah, he did have a lot of struggles in that Wood Brothers 21.
Man. Well, we'll try to get. Hopefully, he turns things right side up. Can we say that? I guess with Joe Gibbs Racing tonight between Femi and Ray Alfala. But one more team we could talk about, guys. Roush Fenway Gaming, Nathan Lyon, Steven Wilson. I think this is a good contender, hot or not.
Well,
hot.
Yeah, definitely. I'd have to say hot for sure. I mean, looking at the performance from last week as well, considering that Nathan did well finishing inside the top 10 along with Steven Wilson getting a podium finish in his rookie season. I mean, he's already setting the bar really high for himself, only 3 races into the season. And while they may be in the standings, these guys had a really, really struggle last year with the likes of Lyon having consistent results with damage, getting caught up in other people's issues, tires when it comes to it, especially at Homestead. But these guys are putting more consistent performances, and I think that Fenway is hot due to the fact that Nathan Lyon is getting back to form.
We got some great rookies in this series this year, don't you think?
We really do.
We really do.
Yeah.
Look at the parallels to real life. The 17 car running up front at Vegas for a while there, led some laps, and so did Steven Wilson.
Good to see Chris Buescher up there. That was nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, as far as Roush is concerned, they haven't really been at this form since they had Zach Novak, and Novak is really hard to replace. We may have a replacement over there in Steven Wilson. I haven't seen enough of him yet, but he is fast.
Yeah, he definitely put on the show, especially back in the Pro Series, Contender Series last year. He did a good job doing that, and he really showed his speed there. So it's good to see that he's starting to translate that speed into the Coke Series early on in his career.
Hey, Michael, every time you mess that up, you have to put one in the
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so. But guys, you know what? Enough about teams. We are here at Atlanta. This is a driver's racetrack. It doesn't matter if you talk to iRacers who are out there on the sim, or you talk to drivers in real life. There's a reason they don't want them to change this racetrack. It is so much fun. It is a driver's racetrack. Brandon, go ahead and take us around the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
It's hot Atlanta, guys. It's at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's a 1.5-mile racetrack. It's actually in Hampton, Georgia, not in Atlanta, Georgia. One of the biggest things tonight, guys, restarts. The grip in the outside lane is minimal. So you're going to see guys who are going to be just completely digging on the bottom on the restarts here. And another thing, too, that we're going to have to look out here, the seams. A lot of people think about the seams at the California or Auto Club Motor Speedway. The seams at Atlanta Motor Speedway are very, very hard. When you slip on a seam, you're going to lose traction. And everybody tonight will be searching for grip. It's Atlanta. It's slick. Everybody's going to be everywhere on the racetrack, and it's going to be one of those fantastic Atlanta races.
Well,
Man.
it is. Yeah, it is going to be one of those races. I'm going to throw it over to you guys. So you talk about searching for it. Where do you think it's going to be tonight? You think it's going to be at the bottom? It's going to be on the middle? It's going to be at the top? Because we're going to see drivers all over this track
It's
tonight.
me. I'm rim riding. I'm rim riding right against the wall.
Mhm. Yeah,
You know-
I mean, we talked about it earlier. I mean, this track is wore out. I mean, you look at the way it runs in real life. These guys are running everywhere across the track, and I definitely expect to see it tonight. And I expect to see a lot of defending up towards them to get that track position, and especially getting those runs off the corner. But it's wore out. There's gonna be a lot of grip searching, and we're gonna have a lot of fun seeing these guys slide around. All right, isn't that right, Chris?
No, I actually disagree with you guys. I'm not going to be running up on the
Wow.
wall.
Okay.
Okay.
It may
The
be
Harvick
faster.
line.
The Harvick line right at the
Absolutely.
bottom.
We've seen Kevin Harvick. He puts his left side tires right on paint, and he stays there the whole race. And, everybody else is racing real hard for second and third, but Harvick's lapping them. So I think that the bottom's going to be the place to be, especially on these restarts. You don't want to get stuck above somebody who gets you in the wall, gets you into trouble, gets you on your roof like Ray.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And, guys, this is probably your guys' favorite part of this segment.
Not Brandon.
Because,
Not
again,
my
you
part.
I know it's
Part.
mine. It's
Yeah, we
definitely
already
mine.
know. Well, maybe it's not Brandon's because, good grief. Can we please just pull up those points right now?
Can we take
Brandon
the
could
points
tell.
down,
My
please?
goodness. We already had this running gag going that it is the Cattell curse. Look at that point total, 26. It's not going well for you, man.
Hey, it was their driver who wrecked my driver last week, so.
Gotta blame it on us and somebody.
Thank you, Corey. Thanks, Corey. We appreciate
Okay.
it.
So I guess, you know what? All right. Picks. Brandon, who are we going with?
Tonight, I'm looking at a guy who's finished second here, I believe, twice before, Michael Conti. And I'm going with the People's Choice Junior Motorsports. Michael Conti will get
Okay.
it done tonight.
I feel so bad for Michael.
I gotcha. Well, at least the good thing we were talking about Ray Allen turning around. You didn't pick him. I'm sure he'll be very happy to know that.
Yes.
All right. Well, guess what, Chris? We got you next. Who are you rolling with?
I'm going to go with a driver that's kind of flown under the radar this year. He was in the Final Four, had a shot at the championship last year. I'm going with Bobby Zalinski. Now, it's not Ray, but it's a VRS-sponsored car. It's going to be done right this time with Bobby. Bobby gets to victory lane. He had a solid run last week, 12th. Not really Bobby Zalinski form, though. I think he breaks that, and Bobby Zalinski goes to victory lane here.
You know what I think? I think of AJ Allmendinger. AJ Allmendinger is good on the road courses, and he's really good at the slick, hot Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
So Bobby Zalinski is going to do that,
A
too.
really good comparison there, Brandon.
I streamed today. I actually kind of picked Bobby Zalinski too. So, Chris, I'm on the same wavelength as you right now. But
Hey,
you know what? We got to turn it over to our points lead tonight. Michael Guerrilla, as far as picks go. We give you the last option. So, Michael, who you got tonight?
Well, I definitely got to try and extend my points lead in some way, shape, or form. So I got to go for
Can't
someone
be
who's...
that hard. Maybe Chris.
I got a
you know?
good gap. I got to make it bigger. So I'm going to go with a sophomore driver today who's in his second season. He's been with SHR, Stewart Haas Racing, and it's going to go with Graham Bolt.
Nobody picked the same guy as me.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't pick each other the
guy as
same.
me.
Yeah, but Graham has shown some solid speed. He's been caught up in a lot of different incidents throughout the start of the season so far. So I think tonight's the night he's going to get pace back to form, and I think he's going to go bowling and get a strike for
Oh,
that
my
win
gosh.
tonight.
The real
These
question
puns.
is
That's
if
actually
he-
a pretty good one.
If he wins,
Yeah.
I wonder how many times he'll say Smithfield afterwards.
He does like putting his foot out there for sure. He does. He does a good job.
Well, he does it again. You talk about Kevin Harvick running that bottom line, Stewart Haas Esports, Graham Boland. Maybe there's a slight connection there.
Maybe.
Yeah, but we'll have to see. Well, guys, again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And again, I'm just excited as you guys to see exactly what happens here tonight. We're going to see drivers on the bottom of the racetrack. We're going to see guys in the middle of the racetrack. We're going to see guys on the top of the racetrack. They're going to be sliding, saving tires. Not a whole lot of grip out there. There's been so much good work done to this track. I can't wait to see it. And why don't we go ahead and welcome in our partners up in the broadcast booth tonight, Evan Pisoko and Tib Terry. Evan, first off, it's great to see you back. It's great to hear you back. I'm glad that we got you back in the broadcast booth.
It's good to be back, and it's good to get this race going because I think for everybody at home that means less puns. going forward. But
probably.
Listen,
I hope you didn't listen to
exciting.
Countdown to Green because we had too many of them.
It's basically our note session to kind of keep tabs on things. So I think we've hit our pun limit for the night. So we'll focus on what's on track tonight. And that's great, right? Because Atlanta is going to be a fun track. It's been a while since we've raced here, 2 years in a row. So we actually have some notes to look back on from last year. It'll be a good show.
That's certainly the case. Again, a lot of veterans in this series. Atlanta Motor Speedway being such a difficult racetrack, Tim. I just think it sets us up for just an incredible race tonight.
You see the first 3 races that we've had this season, and we had 3 different winners. You look at the former list of winners here at Atlanta, we've only had 1 repeat winner, and that's John Gorlinski. So I think we're going to see some new names come to the front that might not have either A, been to victory lane this year, or B, been to victory lane here before. But Evan, we kind of talked off air that we could probably enter the picks contest that they have on Countdown to Green and still not finish last with the way Brandon's running here, right?
It would not be difficult. And I was beating up on those guys last week because I told them as soon as you guys finish Countdown, they're all wrong because Luz was the obvious pick. And granted, it's easy now because I know last year we didn't do so good either when we were actually doing them. But
I did okay. Come on now.
Don't make me come up there, Evan.
Yeah, I know, right? They're still on this. Listen, it would not be difficult, so let's hope for Conti's sake that things can turn around here. It's a long season. It would be really awful if these guys are just influencing what's going on track.
You know, I got to say, I hope that at some point they get the host to have a pick. We can have a running tally of maybe getting us in and trying to.
We can get out of here third, at least. We can leave Atlanta in third. I don't think that's that hard. So tap us in. Let's do it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Of course, our panel's still listening in to our conversation here. I thought you guys left already. But regardless, I just think we're set up great. Again, the bottom, middle, top of the racetrack. But again, right before we get going, guys, any final thoughts?
Well, I think that's what I'm looking forward to, what you just mentioned there, right? I mean, where are we going to end up on the track? A lot of drivers have been saying they want green flag runs so they can spread things out. So I think that may be a strategy race like we saw last week.
And we've seen lots of green flag racing here this season, Evan, so it wouldn't surprise me to see some more multi-grooves. This is going to be fun. I can't wait to see what happens.
I think it is going to be as well. But that's going to do it for us here for eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series Countdown to Green coverage. Again, thank you so much, Chris Overland, Brady Cattell, and Michael Guerrilla for being such an amazing panel of drivers to discuss things with. But next, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series live from Atlanta. Coming to you next.
This Coca-Cola Zero Sugar tastes mighty delicious.
Come on, buddy.
But
if you keep lying like this, you'll be a puppet forever.
It's the honest truth.
You're right. It's delicious.
I never lie.
I am here and now. Where stories you pass down are born. I am where drivers become legends. And legends become the new kings. I'm where nothing's impossible. Even a champion rising again in Phoenix. I'm moving forward. And if you really try, you can catch me. I am NASCAR.
This is our series, where the stakes are always higher, where virtual meets reality. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Yeah, look at my shine with the glow. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like Paul. Time's right, and I know they see us walking in the limelight. Promise you gon' wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high risers, high tide. My crown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. So you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
The road to $300,000 speeds through the Peach State to one of the fastest tracks on the calendar, where tonight from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 4 of the 2021 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And happy that you're with us on a Tuesday night. We're alongside myself, Evan Pasoka, joined as always by Tim Terry. And Tim, you heard it on Countdown to Green, a lot of storylines coming into this evening. Possible wider racing grooves, things we're going to be looking for tonight. A series that has seen 3 different race winners in the opening 3 weeks and a return trip to one of the longest running tracks on the calendar in Hot Atlanta.
Absolutely, Evan. Welcome back, by the way. Can't wait for this one here tonight because we've had 3 different races, 3 different winners, and 3 different really races play out. We haven't had a repeat winner here except for one, which was John Gorlinski back in the day. So somebody looking to add their name again or add their name as a new winner here at Atlanta. It's going to play out throughout 163 laps. This one's going to be fun.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that strategy, as we just mentioned before we went live there at Vegas, right? The pit strategy and all that coming into a factor. A lot of drivers saying that that is what they want to see tonight. The longer we go in a run, the more those tires are going to fall off, the more they'll have to get creative. Can't just stay down on the bottom, move up against the outside wall, try to find some speed there. Also going to be a little bit easier to pass and make moves the longer on into a run that we get. And, you know, you mentioned it as well. We've seen a lot of really good green flag racing tonight. I think those races with strategy allow some of those other drivers who maybe wouldn't be on the top of your head as a top 10, top 15 car or something to mix things up strategy-wise, make a roll of the dice, if you will, harping back to those Vegas puns that I missed out on, and, you know, try to make something happen and put themselves in a position to win this race.
You hit the nail on the head, Evan, when the race pace comes up. We had 2 green flag races, and we had a rash of cautions to start at Las Vegas. How does Atlanta play out? Well, we're about to find out.
We're going to get set to go racing tonight for 250 miles, so let's go down trackside and hand things off to tonight's Grand Marshal, NASCAR Director of Racing Operations and Event Management, Jusan Hamilton, for the most famous words in motorsports.
Good evening, everyone. We at NASCAR are very excited and proud of our partnership with iRacing and Coca-Cola to put on this great championship. And now to kick off round 4 of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series on iRacing. Drivers, start your engines.
Pole position tonight from Atlanta. Mitchell DeYoung starts on pole. Tim, it's only his 4th career start. It is his 2nd career pole. He now has more pole positions than 187 other drivers who have ever competed in this series, and he's joined on the front row by the Tardy Sports entry of Bobby Z. That's Bobby Zelensky. Big names, row 2, Keegan Leahy and Chris Shearburn going to double up for 3rd and 4th position. This one with John Gorlinski and Isaac Newman. Your top 10 in the qualifying tonight. Ryan Luza, Brad Davis.
You get Derek Justice with a great qualifying effort on the inside of row number 6, and then Nick Ottinger, Michael Conti, Michael Guest, the Michael and Michael show. In the next row, Nathan Lyon, Brian Schoenberg. Casey Kerwin in the 38. Garrett Lowe is going to have to come from 18th place. And then Corey Vincent, who has started off the season hot, and Graham Bolin through row 10.
You're halfway home when you get to row number 11. Alan DeBose to Garrett Maines will start through 22nd alongside Femi Olat and Vincente Salas, 23rd and 24th. Ashton Crowder with some work to do alongside Bob Bryant, who was fast earlier today in practice. They are through P26. Blake Reynolds and Stephen Wilson with Ray Alfala. Work to do if he wants to defend his 2020 win here. And Zach Novak is 30th.
And the drivers that need to get to work include Kane Cook in 31st, Taylor Hurst in 32nd and the 33, Jimmy Mullis, Dylan Duval, two names I'm sure we'll see near the front of the field by the end of this one, row 17. Then you roll through Jake Nichols and Blade Witt, Malik Ray in the 11, starting deep in this field, Ryan Doucette, Matt Busa, and the rookie Jake Matheson. Complete your field here tonight.
Very top to the very bottom, less than 0.2 of a second separating the fastest from the slowest drivers. So it'll be fun to see how this pack shakes out over the course of tonight's 163 lap contest. Of course, you make your life a lot easier if you start out towards the front of the field, Tim, but it is not the end-all be-all. We heard on Countdown to Green, 6 sets of tires available. Something tells me we make through a lot of that tonight. Tell us a little bit more about this one with our ASUS race analysis.
Absolutely. 163 laps here this evening. Pit road speed 50 miles an hour. That'll be key, as well as the delta of 23 seconds if this thing goes green, and especially if we have a green flag pit stops. 6 sets of tires available. It's an old, worn-out racetrack. These drivers may use them this evening. Fuel window is 60 to 65 laps. And last year's winner, as you mentioned, Ray Alfala.
You talk about all those different race winners we've seen here over the years. I mean, the likes of Matt Busa have found victory lane. You talked about that too for John Gorlinski back in 2011 and 12. For the longest time, though, it was 1 year on, 1 year off here in Atlanta, right? We raced in 14, not 15, 16, 18, and then 20, but we get it back on the calendar once more. Also, to talk about it being one of the older surfaces, one of the older tracks as well that's been around iRacing for a long time. I guarantee you a lot of these drivers have a lot of track time, and clearly somebody who's adapted to these Tuesday nights well is your pole sitter for 2311 Racing, Mitchell DeYoung. Tim, you're chatting with him.
Yeah, Mitchell, we get to chat again. Earlier in the season was on the pole, second pole position, but how key is track position here at Atlanta?
I think it's going to be pretty huge. Obviously, this is a really cool thing to qualify and pole again, but I know the race is going to be really difficult. To be honest, I think we're not going to have the strongest car in the field, so just having that clean air, I think it's going to be super important. Of course, the opening laps are going to be really hectic with people, running a few lanes wide. So we'll see how it goes. Just have to, pick our moves wisely, and hopefully we stay up here for sure.
I feel like your teammate said that earlier in the season when he went to victory lane at Homestead, but where are we going to see you running here tonight? A lot of people saying the high line's going to be good, the middle. Where are we going to see you run?
It's going to be a tough one. I mean, I'm still quite inexperienced to all the oval stuff, especially at this place. And of course, we have a new update with the track as well. So, I mean, it seems like up top is really good for holding your track position. But I mean, it could be that down low is a little bit better on tires. So, I mean, we'll have to see. It just kind of depends on where the dirty air is and what we can do with it. So,
second pole in 4 races. Go get them tonight.
Thank you.
That's Mitchell DeYoung for 2311 Racing, and we'll bring in our third partner in crime here this evening, Justin Prince down on pit road. JP, what are these boys saying before we go green?
Well, one of the drivers to keep an eye on is coming off his best start now in the series so far. Isaac Gann, 6th starting position. Felt a lot more comfortable in how he's learned how to race against his competitors so far this season. But it's one of the tracks he tested at before the season even began. Tons of work was put into this race. He believes it's one of his best shots to win all year tonight.
Well, it's going to be a big storyline, no doubt, how that pit strategy and how these drivers adapt. Mitchell DeYoung mentioned it there. There is a lot of uncertainty, Tim. I'm certain that extends even to the series veterans with how much has changed here and how it could affect tonight's racing as we get set to get at it from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. As always, we're happy that you're spending a Tuesday night with us on the iCity Sports Network. Encourage you to crack open an ice cold Coke, put your feet up, and enjoy the action on track here this evening. The iRacing.com pace car going to dive to the safety of the pit lane, the field in the hands of Mitchell DeYoung as we say, let go racing from Atlanta. Small bobble by that 36, a Chris Shearburn from the inside of row 2, and it means that the teammates with Mitchell DeYoung and Keegan Leahy side by side for the race lead early. DeYoung will pull up, and after leading the first lap, it's his field.
Yeah, they'll run down into corner number 3. The 2, as you mentioned, from 23.11. And how about Chris Shearburn? Great qualifying effort once again for the Letarte Esports driver. He's got Bobby Zielinski, who he's familiar with as a teammate up there as well. So I think this might be Chris Shearburn's night. He's won a race in this series before, won the season finale last year, but I think by the way we looked at this, Evan, he hasn't won a race this year. There's been some familiar names on the past winners list in Atlanta. I think Chris Shearburn would fit real nicely there. And right now, battling with the 37. How about the qualifying run for Derek Justice?
And he's going to get a little bit dicey here. We're going to go 3 wide early in this one. Down in turn 3, you can see behind battle for 10th. Ottinger, Luza, Davies, and company. They're 2x2 and are closer now than they were for the actual restart. But, Isaac Ganapper as well trying to ruin the stat for a moment. It was 23-11, 1-2, and then it was Letarte Esports 3-4. I mean, there's 3 wide, though, all over the field as the pack is just not separating now 4 laps in.
Well, if everybody's so close together, you want to get as many positions as you can, right? And this is the perfect opportunity to do so, as you see Ottinger to the inside of Davies, and they battle it out for that spot. And Shearburn's fallen back a little bit, and we're starting to see some new names up top, 3 wide once again. And Derek Justice is on the move for JTG, already in the top 5 and looking for a little more here, 3 wide to the inside.
I think the 3 on that 37 car stands for 3 wide Justice because he keeps putting it down on the inside, but he kind of checked out of it in 1 and 2. He was alongside Leahy, backed it out. Now the bobble in the middle for Zach Nichols, awfully tight with Logan Clampett's number 97 Logitech Chevrolet for William Byron Esports up top, but they are making it work for the time being. And you're starting to see, Tim, a few laps in, cars going way up the hill. A half a car length off the fence that time, and look at the run Clampett got.
Again, making moves early as well in the 44 up to position number 3. And we talked about old 2-time here at Atlanta, John Gorlinski. He's in the top 5. And Evan, we mentioned qualifying runs off the start, and I don't want the dead horse, but the 16 of John Gorlinski hasn't had the best qualifying efforts this season. He's up to position number 4. We're used to seeing him, in the early stages hanging out around 20th or so. Really great to see him up here in the top 5 and trying to get a 3rd win at this racetrack.
A lot of drivers, Tim, have been begging for better Q efforts. A lot of guys kind of work from behind. Taking a look at the number 24 machine, just a few spots back. And JP, some radio chatter early in this one for Jake Nichols.
You guys talk about an early start in this one. How about contact before the race even starts? Take a listen.
Oh, bro. Oh my dude. Give it to Malik. I went 2 miles per hour. Like, how do you? Being impatient. How's the rear? He didn't be that hard, honestly, but
your spoiler's fine. No, it's the bumper's a little. The spoiler's fine.
Not happy to say the very least. That was from what we're hearing with Malik Ray. Ray's in 33rd, Jake Nichols 39th position so far.
The opposite of a good Q effort and the opposite of a good start to this race. And of course, it's going to be a headache, all that dirty air, all those cars, those guys going to be dealing with all night long. Starting to see, though, some space up front with the exception, as always, of Derek Justice. This time to the inside, running to Zach Nichols for P7.
That works side by side in behind Logan Clampett and Chris Shearburn in behind them as they duke it out for position. We've completed 9 laps here so far, and for these drivers up in front, Evan, you mentioned it, they found their place to race, single file for the most part. A couple of drivers picking off some positions, but it's starting to get calm up here. You can kind of breathe after 10 laps.
I think that's the thing that Dry mentioned, right? They wanted those laps to kind of tick off at green flag conditions to be able to open these things up just a little bit. Of course, encouraging you, once we're done here, jump on, drive a cup car at the virtual Atlanta Speedway. You can get in the action as well because iRacing, any day is race day. You can go to iRacing.com for more information and for more information on this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. You can go to iRacing.com/eNASCAR for information. A long way to go this year. Use that link to get the schedule and all the news in and around the eNASCAR world. Looking at the Hornets' nest mid-pack, you're on board with Femi Olat, P24.
at that laser focus that he has right now. He's in the middle of the pack. Mentioned about the front view, that kind of sense of relax and calm, and I don't want to say sense of urgency, Evan, because that's not really what we're seeing here, but I think there's a little more, the nerves might be a little more up the middle of this pack now.
If I'm his spotter or crew chief, I'm going to want to check in on him, Tim, because I don't think he blinked at all in that 30 seconds we were looking at him, right? I mean, he is wide-eyed and obviously paying attention. It is much tighter, as you noted, mid-pack here than the guys up front who are able to take a little bit of a deep breath and try to refocus. I mean, just behind Femi Olat is some 3 wide off in the distance. You can look a bit of a block there maybe by the number 10 car, Graham Bolin, up the road. So, yeah, these guys mid-pack, they don't play nice, Tim. You would think if the inside and the outside works that we'd have a little bit more space and we'd get along a little bit better. Not the case, as some of the McLaren Shadow teammates now side by side. It was 3 wide. Now they'll fight with themselves and for a moment winning out in that exchange. It'd be the number 67 car.
Yeah, there's Blake on your screen in the 66. The 67 is Alan Bowes, and they are working their way through the field. Alan looked like he was going to have a strong run through all the pit strategy that we had at Vegas a couple of weeks ago, so looking to kind of capitalize on that as they move throughout the field. And to the outside, there's the Virginia is for Racing Lovers number 90 for Richmond Raceway Esports, Zach Novak, working his way through. I think the boys covered it on the countdown to green. For that team, it has not really been a good season. It's kind of been on the cold side, but as the weather warms up around Virginia and around everywhere else, I think these guys are going to catch a little bit of fire right on board with driver number 9.
Zach Novak, Tim, somebody who wants to bounce back, right? He has been in this series since 2017, but last year had his worst points finish out of any of them, 21st. So had to obviously try to pick up the pieces and turn things around. And even though he's down in 30th spot right now, this is not where he wants to be. And these drivers back here not going to kind of a break much, right? Kane Cook to mix as well, Blake Reynolds. Not only is Novak a 2019 champion, but as well, he won the eNASCAR Ignite Series title a couple of years back as well. So he's well versed in everything oval-wise across the sim. And right now, he's dealing with traffic as we look further up the road to last week's winner, Ryan Luza, who became the 3rd different winner in 3 weeks last week at Vegas, kind of holding steady. The driver at Cypress, Texas, started 9th, dropping back to P10, but he wants to get the spot back, Tim, to the inside of Zach Nichols.
He mentioned the pressure is kind of off on week number 3 to get that win, not having to win and you're in to really get into the playoffs. He can kind of relax a little bit, and maybe that's what we're seeing here now. He's flirting with the top 10 run, currently 11th, started in 9, so he's right around there. Michael Guest in behind him in the big green egg, number 9. He's had a great start to this season as well, and then the XSET teammate of Casey Kerwin right in behind him. You can see on the top of your screen the weather, and one thing that I saw with Zach Novak there, we talked about it's hot, it's a wore-out racetrack. He was sawing on the wheel getting around here in the middle of the pack, so I don't know if that's something we're going to see from a lot of these drivers, but we'll see as this race goes on and see if that wheel gets any smoother for Zach and some of his competitors out here.
He's definitely working hard to this point, and you talk about the rough racetrack. I mean, I don't think that's going to get any better as the night goes on. See at the top of your screen, it's 83 degrees, but that means trackside it is more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So they don't call it Hot Atlanta for no reason. Hot and slick early in this race. So watching these battles through the mid-pack, I'd want to welcome in a special guest and tonight's Grand Marshal, Jusan Hamilton, the Director of Racing Operations and Event Management for NASCAR. Jusan, first off, a big thanks to you for joining us for the command. All of us in the sim racing world and certainly the NASCAR world as well know you well and know your involvement. But for somebody who may not, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at NASCAR.
So I'm Jusan Hamilton. I'm the Director of Racing Operations and Event Management for NASCAR. As a part of that, I'm also a race director for all 3 national series. And I'm also the series director for our eSports championships on iRacing, both the Coca-Cola series and the eNASCAR Ignite series.
And of course, this series has come so far, since it started more than a decade ago. And of course, with Coca-Cola coming on board last year and all of these teams involved, it kind of seems like the sky's the limit. I mean, we're giving away $300,000 these days, right, in a prize pool for this series. Where do you see this series going as it continues to grow, and kind of how that ties into NASCAR's mission?
Well, the series itself is very important. I've been a sim racer going back to long before I worked at NASCAR, back to my racing days. So almost 20 years now, back in the original formats I was on there. So how far sim racing has come has been very impressive. And for a series like ours, and for NASCAR specifically, having the series grow the way it has is very important for us to be able to reach new audiences, as well as for us to be able to give folks the chance that don't necessarily get the chance to race in the real world. The championship as it is today, it showcases some of the best folks out there in the world of esports in terms of sim race drivers. Being able to have them perform on a stage like this, have the live broadcasts, have audiences tuning in and following them, as well as the involvement that we have from all the race teams at the National Series level and some other esports organizations out there around the world, that elevates it to a whole new level. And it's really an important area of our business moving forward.
And I think the racing that we're seeing on track tells us why. So, Jusan, thanks so much for the time. Again, appreciate you doing the command as well, and hopefully we'll catch up with you soon. That was Jusan Hamilton, the Director of Racing Operations and Event Management with NASCAR. Tim, one of the people so involved with making this series what it is, and I think the best representation of why this series is so good and why it's so important is what we're seeing right now, right? Great racing thus far, incident-free through the opening 25 laps of this Atlanta 250.
Yeah, this has been quite enjoyable so far, especially seeing these drivers move around a little bit and kind of find where they want to run. And let's take a look at Bob Bryan here. And we talked about sawing on the wheel, Evan. Look at this as he goes through the corner.
Tim, I don't know what the motivation is more, the fact that he's getting chased down and that's why he's so in the zone, or if he's getting hungry because he sees pit boss in the back of the 11 car up the road in this battle for position, or the 41, I should say, of Dylan Duval there. But again, mid-pack, no chill this part of the field, right? These guys are all over each other, still side by side. Reynolds appears to be one of the few drivers still down on that white line. Everybody else has moved up. It works for him. He slides in front of the 15 of Kane Cook, but Kane Cook going to go for the crossover, put his fistful of bourbon forward, back down on the inside now in turn 3.
And we see some of those drivers down to the inside on this side-by-side battle, middle of the pack, but you know what? Looking at near the front of the field, a lot of those drivers closer to the front are starting to kind of flirt with that inside line. As you see the 97 of Clampett go to the outside and look ahead of them up the road. There's a little bit of a side-by-side battle there, and there goes that 97 down to the bottom side as they'll go side-by-side. The 16 of John Gorlinski going to fall back one here, oh boy.
And just now, what a slide and what a crossover at a turn 4 as Gorlinski going to put it right back down on the bottom. Well, we said it, Tim. There's only one driver to get multiple race wins here at Atlanta. It was the driver of that 16 spin Ford Mustang. That crossover does not work, though. The 2011 and 2012 winner, and they'll have to settle for P6 at the moment. Logan Clampett is a +2 on the move a bit here inside of the top 10.
Yeah, John Gorlinski is sawing on that wheel. You can see almost elbows up, almost like he's running a dirt car, trying to keep that thing straight and trying to reel back in Logan Clampett. And Logan, there's kind of really no facial expression there. He's kind of focused in on what's going on in front of him, but looks like the 16 may be falling back into the clutches of the pack, which that might be Nick Ottinger there.
Yeah, the 25 machine right there. Nick Ottinger trying to get up there with his teammate back down to pit road, Justin.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of Ottinger, he says his car feels solid right now, but a little bit edgy at the moment. But keep in mind, he was saving a ton of tires, he mentioned, early on in the run. His team had mentioned how well they've been running the seam, especially in turns 3 and 4. Keep an eye on that machine, one of the top 5 fastest cars on the racetrack at the moment, the Fast 10.
Up 5 spots, Tim. That's kind of on the higher end of the moves, right? Most spots have been up 1-2 or 1-2, and you kind of see, speaking of which, this battle right here with the number 81 machine up the road, or the 83, sorry, Bobby Zelensky still trying to maintain position. Our leaders, Tim, watching all of the chaos mid-pack in the blink of an eye, have actually started to space out quite a bit here.
And we saw the middle of the pack where those drivers were kind of only running the low side if they had to, Evan, but been watching those 2311 cars as we ride on board with Isaac Gann, and we'll be able to see it here. A lot of these leaders running the low line.
And he'll go for the crossover move and make that pass for P3. We talk about the unique situations all these guys are racing in, and a lot of the drivers in the field here, college age or in that range. And Isaac's racing from his dorm room. Tim, that's a cleaner dorm room, I think, than most, and probably cleaner than most of the rooms these guys race in. Remember last year, Jeff Gordon had to help Brandon Cattell out making his bed and whatnot before he was on camera. Isaac's got it under cover for Clearman Sport, keeping those drivers in check.
Looks like he's got the masks hung over there by the closet. He's got everything neat and tidy, and he is focused on his effort right now. A clean room is a happy room, right? I think that's kind of how it goes. But we've seen some with different motifs throughout. We're going to see that throughout the evening. It's great to have these drivers we're able to ride on board with as we go down into corner number 1 here, and the conga line goes down there. There's the 8 of Michael Conti. Haven't talked a whole lot about him this evening, but it looks like he's starting to make a move.
Maybe that's a good thing, right, considering he was the cursed pick in our pre-race show. And I will say as well, Tim, the benefit of being in the booth as opposed to racing in this is when I toss the green screen up behind me, doesn't matter if the room's clean, right? Nobody will know the difference.
I hear you.
This mid-pack is certainly the only messy thing going on right now. Is Casey Kerwin on board with him in a battle for 14th and change. He's got a great view side by side up the road, working the outside line. Not going to go all the way to the fence, though. See up the road, about 4 car lengths up the road there. Somebody on the exit of 2 is right on the fence. He's not willing to push it that far yet. Still giving him some space here, but you can see the runoff of the corner compared to Conti there on the inside.
Yeah, Conti didn't get any run to the inside, and now Casey, look at him. He is focused. He's got the sponsor product in behind him, the Ghost back there, and he's got it all figured out. He does a lot of streaming on Twitch as well, so great to see him involved in the community, and he's up on the wheel, and he's up near that outside line.
Got the bright racing gloves as well, right? We've seen some interesting incident, shall we say, in NASCAR history here at Atlanta. Good news for him is in the sim, you can't use the bright gloves in the windshield to expose yourself if you caused a record on benefit of sim racing. But that's a thing a lot of drivers choose to do. Gloves versus this with Graham Bolin. No gloves, left-hand side of your screen. I also think he's sitting real low in the seat as well, as he's in this same battle looking up the road to the 9 and company. And maybe it was Bolin who I saw just in that earlier shot, Tim, because he looked far higher up the racetrack, right onto the fence. Just so much speed as he rockets off of the corner, right? I mean, he's using every bit of the 24 degrees of banking up there.
He's able to roll the top. The man they call Guam on the outside line, and trying to pick up some points for one of our boys on the Countdown to Green show is one of their picks, and currently doing pretty well right now. It's still early in this race. We're only on lap number 40 of 163, so plenty of time. And look at him sawing that wheel again, right in the middle of the corner off, especially on that high side.
He'll cross him over, and what he's going to do is, you saw, kind of put that nose on the quarter panel there, try to put some air onto the spoiler of the 9 of Michael Guest to slow that 9 car down, but this has not been the lane that Graham's been using, right? A little bit of a rough ride, walks it up the hill on the bottom, and that 9 of Guest trying to be pesky, but he will relinquish that spot, so Graham Bolin up 8 into position number 12. That means he's one of the bigger movers in the field tonight. Other notable, Steven Wilson, plus 11. Dylan Duvall, plus 10. So there's some drivers on the move, including the battle for second and third, because Isaac Gann has caught up to Keegan Leahy, who's in a 4-wheel drift that time at a turn 4 at 32, screaming for grip right now.
Looks like the handle after 40-something laps starting to go away on the 32 car of Keegan Leahy. Gann goes to the side and going to try to put that Valvoline number 44 up to position number 2 as they go side by side for that position. Side by side in behind them as Zielinski tries to pick up one. We're starting to see comers and goers on this run. But I want to point out something, Evan. We talked to Mitchell DeYoung off the top of the show. The guy is still leading, and he said, I don't know how my car's going to race. I think it's racing pretty good right now. I don't know about you. That's maybe why we're up here and not on the racetrack. But Mitchell's doing pretty good up front.
So modest, right? He's been so good in Q tonight, and maybe finding that trick here at race trim. 1.7 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. Pit stops on the horizon, clean and green so far from Hotlanta. You're watching the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series on the iRacing Esports Network.
This Coca-Cola Zero Sugar tastes mighty delicious.
Come on, buddy.
But
if you keep lying like this, you'll be a puppet forever.
It's the honest truth.
You're right. It's delicious.
I never lie.
I am here and now. Where stories you pass down are born. I am where drivers become legends. And legends become the new kings. I'm where nothing's impossible. Even a champion rising again in Phoenix. I'm moving forward. If you really try, you can catch me. I am NASCAR.
Coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And by DoorDash, proud sponsor of 2311 Racing. For 47 laps in the works from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, it has been all Mitchell DeYoung thus far. 1.2 second advantage over Isaac Gann. You saw it make the move on Keegan Leahy there just before we stepped aside. The difference between second and third. But Tim already closing in to get close to 1/3 distance. I can imagine there's a lot of chatter pit-wise, and Mitchell DeYoung is enjoying the clean air. Let's enjoy it with our DoorDash onboard camera. Well, just as I start to think out loud, Tim, about a little bit of pit strategy, there's a couple of drivers yelling over the radio that they are on the cusp. So this is one of those points in the race that could be a game changer. Mitchell DeYoung is dropping significantly to Isaac Gann, and a caution at lap number 49. And there's a lot of smoke down towards turn number 1, so we will not get to green flag pit stops. Tim, I have to wonder if the impending service had a part in that one.
And Malik Ray is one of them that is tore up in this one. Evan, you want to talk about a guy that hasn't had a great start to the year. I believe he's one of them that gets a little bit of damage out of this one. And 50 laps in, still plenty of laps to go. But if you're behind the 8 ball now, you've got to start making your way back to the front.
And the discussion amongst the drivers is ongoing. I'll fill you in on what happened based on what happened once we get a second look at that one. But I do believe it did have to do with a little bit of pit service. Right, Tim, I was saying this is the point in the race where things can get a little bit dicey. My apologies for forgetting to knock on wood, obviously, because before I can even finish the thought, a yellow flag came out. What this will do, though, positive note is it's going to kind of standardize the strategy, right? Nobody's going to be able to mix it up by 5 or 10 laps, but that margin for error is much tighter. So we head down to pit road speed here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, 50 miles an hour. You're going to be perfect. You're going to lose a ton of spots. Let's see if first in can be first out. They all follow DeYoung.
Of note as well, this should put us on one more stop from here to the finish of this race. We saw off the Jesus race analysis, we're looking at about 60 to 65 laps on fuel. So this should put us in the window for one more stop to the end of this one.
And that was a very short pit stop for the lead car off of pit road. But for the drivers that get service, watch for Mitchell DeYoung in the number 1 pit stop. Win that race off of pit road, second to Isaac Gann. Logan Clampett third. Leahy, Zelensky inside of the top 5. So nothing groundbreaking there. The car you saw leave early was Nathan Lyon. Missed his pit stall. So Kohler Generators entry that we're switching. Likely going to cycle back around and give it another go, because track position a lot less important than tires after 50 laps. Let's take a second look at what happened. It centers around the number 77 of Bob Bryant, Tim, on the inside.
And he is going to get a little bit of help here as he goes to the inside. Zach back right in behind. And there might be the time where he was coming to pit road, and maybe Zach didn't see it or didn't see the communication, and goes around there. And that could have been a lot bigger than it was. There's Malik right there just at the last minute, getting swept up in that.
So I believe what happened, just on some of the driver chatter I overheard over the radio, Tim, is that Bob had said over voice chat, physically, told everybody, I'm pitting in. And then Zach apologized after the incident. He told him that he had everybody muted and didn't hear him in that exchange. So a tough break. The good news, if any, is that the sim grass does not tear cars like real-life grass. So let's just replace all the grass at tracks with sim grass, and we'll be fine, Tim. You're on the radio, though, with the driver of the 77.
Yeah, Bob, what happened there?
I ran over from behind. I mean, Zach owned up to it. I can't fault him for it. He just didn't have his driver chat turned on, I guess. But really frustrating. We thought we were going to have a really fast car today, and I don't know, it wasn't slow. As odd as it seems, I don't really feel like we had a chance to see what we really had. So, I don't know. Hopefully we can salvage something.
Okay, we're coming to green. Go get what you can.
Thanks.
It's Bob Bryant, driver the number 77, and the field is already bunched up, doubled up, in behind that beautiful new iRacing sedan pace car, Evan. Look at that thing up front.
And someone who's got a good view of it is his teammate, who's hoping his race is going to go a little bit better with the 44 of Isaac Gann. The pace car down and in. Mitchell DeYoung going to go early in the restart box, and we are back underway with 52 laps down. Inside is better, Tim. That 44 car, not good. The 97 gets through. He'll slide to the outside, and Logan Clampett looking for the race lead.
We'll see how long it takes them to get back to maybe the 2 wide and not necessarily the Suburgency 3 wide that we're seeing here off this restart. Nick Ottencar, it's a handful on that outside line and nearly got into the fence off of corner number 4. Took them about 10 laps the first run as you ride on board with Ashton Crowder down into the corner, and you can see the Hornet's Nest up in front of him.
A 3 wide, it is not good looking right now into the top 5. The driver squeezed in the middle of all of that is the 29 of Zach Nichols trying to get a win here for Williams Esports. Tim, we talked about the variance in race winners. Well, we have had 2 Toyotas win so far this year and 2 Chevrolets if you count the preseason race at Daytona. Ford yet to be in eNASCAR victory lane this year. Right now, the best bet lies in Zach Nichols inside of the top 5. Not the only one, though, and in that exchange up front, not only was Logan Clampett able to take the race lead away, Tim, but now Mitchell DeYoung has to deal with something he hasn't had to all night, and that is dirty air off of a car in front of him. The 44 of Gone went to second. Maybe worse now because Nichols has got the inside nose on DeYoung.
And that might be where Mitchell said earlier that we don't know how the car is going to race, because this is the first time that he is in traffic all night long, albeit he's still got a view of the leader up in front of him. But there's Logan Clampett. We ride on board with him as you look back, and it's starting to calm down just a bit behind the leader.
And maybe just a tad, and you can see maybe a little blip of the throttle I heard that time in the center of the corner, right? Not wanting to push it too hard, but, I mean, mid-pack is always what gets me worried. Too wide throughout the field. Once again, Derek Justice is in the middle of it all, but for once he's not 3 wide. He's got the view of the battle up the road that has Bobby Zelensky pitched down on the bottom. And one of your big movers, right, Nick Ottinger from outside of the top 10, he completes that pass on Bobby Z to go to position number 6. So Nick Ottinger making some moves. Someone who needs to get on the move, Matt Busa, up to 27th spot. 3 wide right now on the inside of Taylor Hurst.
He's a former winner here before as well, Evan, and with that title run that he had, or was going for that championship back in 18. And there's another driver that's kind of sawing on the wheel, and he's got the checkered flag in the background. He's going to try to pick up another one here tonight, and he's got that Mode Motorsports car looking forward, but as you mentioned, there's some traffic ahead of him.
Yeah, there's a lot of it, and there's no way through right now. I think there's a bit of 3 wide up the road with Brad Davies, the 2 of Garrett Maines, and then the 18 machine, Femi Olat, way up and outside. Whoa, they're going to slide on each other. Somehow they did not wreck all those cars up at turn number 2. Racing for 21st, you'd think it'd be for first.
Slick racetrack, not a lot of grip, trying to find your footing, especially on cold tires on a restart. And these guys are putting on quite a show back here, and there's some names that are on different agendas that want to get towards the front of the field. And there's the 2 Team Dillon cars right now running in the middle of the pack with Hurst and Vincent. We're not used to seeing those drivers near the middle, but the pay window isn't open yet, Evan. We've still got over 100 laps.
There is a long road to hoe with 103 laps to go this time by, and now the challenger again is Isaac Gahn. Remember, he had actually closed in on Mitchell DeYoung when DeYoung was leading before the time of the caution flag, and he's kind of doing the same to the 97 to Clampett again. More 3 wide mid-pack. Matt Busa stuffed in the middle. So is 4-time Ray Alfala. They'll get it down to 2 wide by the time they get off the corner. Bit of a hip check that time, a slide off to the inside for the number 46 machine on the bottom, but all hold steady for the moment. A lot of close calls here. About 2 seconds between these drivers and about 4 seconds total off for the race lead as you look on board with that 51 of Alfala.
We kind of seen this with John Gorlinski earlier, and I don't know if it's one of those things that these guys are both veterans of this iRacing deal, but Ray kind of in the corner is focused, and there's a little lap from Ray on the straightaway. It's kind of more lighthearted and casual, and in the corner it's all business. Speaking about business, we've got some business up in front.
We can talk about rookies. The 2021 eNASCAR Road to Pro Contender iRacing Series champion in Isaac Gahn got picked up by one of the bigger names in the series with Kligerman Sport, got Valvoline on the hood at that 44 Chevy, and he wants to go to victory lane all over the 97 to Clampett. Dropped it back a little bit, but Tim, the thing that impresses me right now for the 44 is his bounce back, right? He makes a move, he can't get it done. Some drivers would take 3 laps to recover. He gets right back on it. He is in the tire tracks of Logan Clampett. Let's enjoy it with iRacing Full Throttle. If anyone's wondering, that right there is how you do a drone shot with some race cars. I think we cleared it with the virtual FAA. It's fine. Hartsfield's far enough away. They let us have free reign on that one. And a lot of good looks at all the action on track. Another peek to the inside, off into turn number 3 as this battle continues with Nick Ottinger trying to continue to move forward up 6 spots from the start of this race. Tim, we talked about Mitchell DeYoung falling back a little bit on the restart. Right there he is in 3rd, but kind of quietly in all of that was Keegan Leahy slipping to P6. See if that 32 car can turn things around here as this run gets a little bit deeper.
Took a look to the inside of Nichols, and then Ottinger was able to get by him, so we'll see what happens there. But Mitchell's kind of been managing the gap by the looks of it, Evan. He's about a second or so behind the leader and not really falling off a ton, but now Nichols gets a little bit of a run here in these last couple laps, and we'll take a look at the DoorDash number 23. But not the Mitchell DeYoung that we saw on the first run, but obviously he had clean air. But we'll see what transpires here as we work around lap number 72.
He is not falling apart, right? I mean, P3 is still a real good spot. He was able to kind of weather the storm a little bit and is under fire right now, as you mentioned, by Jake Nichols. Ended up a spot. A driver still looking for his first career win, but has kind of consistently improved year on year since the last time and when he made a series debut back 2017. Justin on board back in some traffic here as we ride on board with the one of Ashton Crowder.
Yes, indeed. Drivers have been reporting overheating issues so far throughout this run. In particular, Nick Ottinger mentioned he was overheating. There was also a temp check for Ryan Luza earlier on in this run. Several other drivers currently also reporting that the track is tightening up at the moment. Meaning the amount of grip is starting to build up and it's becoming more tighter on the corner exits. It's getting more tricky out there to try and battle around this racetrack.
Tim, I'm noticing a theme here. Not the first time this year we've heard drivers talking about temperature issues, and I think that, you know, when you have the style of racing like this at these big tracks, these teams are really walking that line with tape.
I think you have to look back to a couple of weeks ago. Was it Mitchell DeYoung on lap 3 or lap 4 that had issues and had to come down to pit road after that thing ran too hot at the very start? And he just told us, you know, it got away from me. I looked up and all of a sudden, here are my temperatures blowing up and here's the motor coming apart. So you really have to be on it, and with these crew chiefs and with these drivers and with these crew members that are on here, you kind of get used to it, but you kind of lose sight of that sometimes on the bigger run, especially 75 laps into a race where you've already been running for a while and you've already had one run.
And because the the weather, the sky in the sim is dynamic, can't test and find that exact limit. If you get a little bit of cloud cover, it's going to cool down. If you play it conservative, you give up a little bit of tape, you could be on the back foot, so that's why they need to be on it. Taking a look on board with the driver rotted mid-pack right here, 19th spot to 55 of Vicente Salas, and I think well-positioned, Tim. No coincidence that he's got some of the hardware in the shot, letting us know what's up. The driver for Space Station Gaming up 5 from the get-go.
I mean, Evan, if I had hardware, I'd probably display it as well,
yeah,
but I don't.
None, so.
we have green screens though, so that's
yeah,
a good start with us, right?
Makes me feel better.
Yeah, but he's doing fairly well, and there's a driver that's not really sawing on the wheel like we saw earlier with some of those other drivers. It's kind of a little bit calm and a little bit smooth compared to what we've seen before, and he's got a laser focus as well, so not bad for the rookie driver, running about mid-pack. I'm sure he wants a little bit more, but there's still some more laps to get that done.
You know you're relaxed when your hands are just kind of hanging on to the very bottom of the wheel, right? Like when you're on an empty freeway driving home, you're just hanging out. Some of these guys are, sitting at 9 and 3 up on the wheel, and he's just chilling, hands down on the bottom. Sunday drive for Vicente, who was up 5 spots from the get-go in this race. Obviously wants to continue to move in the right direction. Here's a driver we saw just a little bit earlier in this race, Kane, another one of those drivers who's kind of stuck right now, right? In a battle for 32nd position. You can see the pass right there made by Ryan Doucette, who's going to go by on the outside. These drivers in the 30s with Ray Alfalatin. Last time we checked in with him, he was pretty much there. They really can't get out of this bubble right now as Ray gets a bit squirrely, and that's going to be a crossover to the inside for Doucette.
Driver that won here last year, and Ray is trying to break the slump. You mentioned breaking the bubble. How about breaking the slump? He's down there tied for 39th in the point standings. Don't really want to look at it, but it's one of those things where you kind of have to write your season somewhere. And Ray right now 3 wide. I'm sure he's having a blast. Everybody's having a good time here tonight. But the 51 of Ray Alfala, he's trying to get up on the wheel, but can't break the bubble and needs to break the slump too.
Just making sure everybody's putting on a show, right? Why not 3 wide in the 30s here? And look at that very bottom for Kane Cook, very outside with that 50 machine of Alfala. Cook obviously short away around, gets the spot right away. Not in speed for that Rowdy Energy Toyota of Ray Alfala to cross him back, and that position will go with the 15 car at the time being. Back towards the front of the field. Here comes Zach Nichols to the inside on Mitchell DeYoung, and made that one look easy. He'll slide to third, but he'll slide high. DeYoung looks back to the bottom. Can't make it stick, make it a plus for Nick Ottinger.
And now his teammate taking a little peek as well, and this is the time in the run where these tires start to get a little bit worn, the fuel load starts to get a little bit lighter, and this might be where Mitchell said a little bit earlier that the race run might not be as good as he anticipated. Might be where we're starting to see it. And then right in behind him, how about the 17 of Steven Wilson? Had a great run at Las Vegas, and now we haven't really spoke about him all night long, Evan, and he's up here in this fray.
Making his series debut, right? A rookie here for 2021, doing everything that he needs to make the mark. Just got in, and is a driver who made a mark here on the sim in the World of Outlaws late model World Championship division, so he's somebody as well that is very well versed in that 17. He is up some 16 positions, 21 now since I last checked in. So Steven Wilson, the Fastenal Ford on the bottom, trying to become the second Ford, by the way, to win. Brian Luzo got a win in a Ford last week at Vegas. I'm just so used to him being in Toyotas. Goes to tell you, Tim, we're 2 months into this, and silly season has still got me all kinds of twisted up. But Wilson putting in work, couldn't make the pass on DeYoung on the bottom. That time he tried the high side, so he's getting creative, trying to find a way through. He'll stick it into the outside time and force his way there in turn 1.
Just kind of kicked the door open a little bit to get there, and now trying to get back there as Mitchell DeYoung up the racetrack. The 17 goes to the inside. We saw earlier, and Steven's one of those drivers that races from his dorm room, so he's trying to pick up something the friends can have a little drink over after the race, and he mentioned that, after the race they get together and have a good time, and right now they're looking for something to celebrate here, and I'm sure everybody's up on the edge of their seat cheering for that 17 as he makes one more move on Mitchell DeYoung and gets himself a little bit closer towards the front of the field.
One of the youngest drivers in the field as well. There's only a handful of drivers younger than him. I think the youngest of them all would be Jake Matheson, born in 2003. So we talk about that youth coming up through this series, and I don't want to say the old guard, but maybe the vets who have been in this series for 6-7 years are starting to sweat when they go down to that contender series or down to the qualifying series, because there is a lot of young talent with this specific series set in mind when they work their way through the iRacing ranks and try to get here to fight for $300,000. Mitchell DeYoung now starting to struggle. Fell from first to third early. He's now down to 7th, and don't count on Bobby Zelensky to make it any easier on him. Gorlinski, Bolin, even Michael Conti up to 11. Ryan Luza in 12th. Some drivers we haven't checked in with in a while. They're going to be all over him here sooner rather than later, but we're past halfway in this race. JP, how's it going on pit road?
For some drivers, a bit of frustration starting to build up, in particular for Ryan Luza. That was after a bit of contact here, and that was with Derek Justice coming off the corner. Take a look and listen.
I'm destroyed.
It's not looking so hot.
What?
It's not looking good. It's like 25 on the right front, which is the worst possible place you can have damage. It won't be loose now, I would hope.
Did we actually hit?
Yes.
Yeah.
We turned in, and I don't know. I think you turned in late or later than he expected. No clue. But y'all hit.
Both drivers not happy, to say the very least. Luza and Justice both not happy in that situation.
Only going to get worse, Tim, if that right front damage you heard the team communication mentioned. Basically, the worst spot to get damage, right? If that's going to get worse, lose it down 3, and it may get worse as this race goes on. I think the biggest loser with all of that, certainly Derek Justice, who has fallen to 4th. He is last in the running order after he got into the wall, but Loser feels like contact shouldn't have happened, and that should not be hindering him at this point. Watching to battle for 3rd, Nick Ottinger, slide jobs. The 29 is Zach Nichols. Nichols won't cross him over, gives him a shot to the bumper. The 25 car to a race-high P3 now at lap number 90.
Nichols goes back to the inside, and there's the 16 up in the wall. There's John Gorlitty. A little bit of damage to the back end, and that's definitely not going to help. It's almost the same damage that Derek Justice has. You mentioned him running in 40th. Almost the same damage that he has on his race car, and there's a 2-time winner. Just maybe got out of the groove. We'll see here. Oh, and he's sliding that thing around again, too. Made it a little bit looser for that 16 car.
Well, you heard, Luz talking that the damage was going to make him tight. I think Gorlinski got loosened up, and I believe he had help getting into the outside wall, so his tires probably not the only thing that's hot right now, because a little bit of a touch in 1 is what put Gorlinski in the fence, and after starting this race in 5th, running top 10, he is starting to drop it. Michael Guest got around him. PC Kerwin in the 38 entry for Exet, going to make a move on the bottom, and that'll put Gorlinski down to 14th. Let's take a second look, see what happened.
Yeah, there's the 16 right up the road, and we'll see see if there was any contact here between these two race cars, Evan. But a tough break for Mr. Gorlitty. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of contact there. That's probably why John's not all too happy.
I don't think it was malicious at all, right? You can kind of see that closing rate kind of happened right away down into 1, kind of checked up. I don't know if it was the line backing off, if he had to get out of the throttle a little bit, but definitely a touch, and we get away with another one without a yellow flag in that. These drivers now trying to put some moves on one another. Brad Davies getting ahead of the chaos now. It's the 2 of Garrett Maines and the 36 of Chris Shearburn. Shearburn, somebody else, was dropped from the start of this race. Remember, he started in 4th position, but he's down in 16th. He decides, Tim, not to go 3 wide. Not as patient as Vicente Salas. He says, if you don't want to go to the inside of the 2, I will, and that's going to cost the 36 even more spots.
Yeah, 3 wide in behind Gorlinski. Gorlinski trying to hang on for dear life, and everybody else trying to work their way by. Dylan Duval in the middle of this mess, trying to move that Pit Boss Grills number 41 up a couple of positions. The 2 of Maines leading this one, and Salas is making the moves. Chris Shearburn has fallen back, almost surprised, as you mentioned, where he is right now in this field. Still 3 wide. John Gorlinski's not giving up. Look at that focus.
And it's, I think, a fact when you talk physics that if you lean in the corner, Tim, it helps the car turn, and maybe turn it a little bit too much there. Real loose off of turn number 4, but, I mean, John, you can tell he's desperate. He is all over the wheel in that Wood Brothers Racing entry. All he can do is hold that outside, try to keep his foot in. Look at all the counter steer off of turn number 2, and I'm sure he's complaining about it on the radio, begging, and there it is, a big spin behind, hard into the inside wall. The 1 of Ashton Crowder, the 47 of Brian Schoenberg is in the wall also, but no caution. This race stays green.
We are still green on this racetrack, and you see that battle for the lead position up in front as it's starting to accordion back together. Logan Clampett, Isaac Gann, and we might have a battle on our hands because Nick Ottinger is working his way towards this duo.
Yeah, Isaac Gann had a couple of cracks at Logan Clampett, wasn't able to execute it. The Brandani 7 machine maintaining, and now Nick Ottinger reeling him in the Logitech Chevrolet for William Byron Esports. So it is at the front of the field here. The 97, the 45, the 25. Mid-pack still is kind of where everybody is fighting for what they can get. Jimmy Mullis kind of at the head of this group. I got that 3 of Corey Vincent, the Coke Zero machine way up the hill for Team Dillon Esports. The 46 going to tuck in line behind, and you see that 15 of Kane Cook in the mix as well. Let's take a second look at what happened right-hand side of your screen, Tim. It's not hard to miss that bright green number 1 of Ashton Crowder in the middle of 3 wide. They're up on the outside.
A little bit of 3 wide racing, and the bomb just goes off behind Brian Schoenberg. A little bobble up the racetrack, and oh, that's a hard hit for the 1 of Crowder, and Brian Schoenberg got that thing straight again, but I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of damage to that race car that's going to hinder the progress of that number 47. He hasn't had the best of seasons yet. We want to talk about one of the veterans of this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. He's going to have to come from behind here in the late laps.
And I was no more than maybe a half a second away, because we were talking about Gorlinski, right before that yellow happened. I was about to say, complaining on the radio, probably begging for a yellow, right? He needs to get that thing fixed up because it's dropping paperweight right now. And then no more than a half a second later, they're wrecking on the back straightaway, but no yellow. That will help some people out, certainly hurting the drivers involved in Gorlinski, who probably could have benefited from that thing slowing down. Ashton Crowder forced down to pit road. He drops now to 40th. No retirees so far in this race. All 40 drivers who took to the green flag are still in this one, and seems like Isaac Gann may mount a second wind to the outside as he starts to close back in on Clampett for the race lead.
And Nick Ottinger not too far behind this little battle, but the one number that I'm looking at right now, Evan, is that number above at the top of the screen, 64 laps to go. We set off the Azus race analysis. The pit window for fuel would be 60 to 65 laps. We almost got there on the first run, so kind of split this run at the end. I don't know if anybody is going to necessarily short pit, but that window is it's not open yet, but it's about to get there. Look at this battle on the other side of the screen. Matt Busa has been aggressive the last couple of laps, trying to make his way and carve his way through this pack. The Mode Motorsports number 75 means business.
And that aggressiveness has paid off. He is the second biggest mover in the field at plus 18 positions, only bested by Steven Wilson, who's plus 23, has moved him from 28th on the starting grid to position number 5. So some drivers like to take a little bit more of a conservative and relaxed approach. Not Matt Busa. He has given it everything he's got in that Mode Motorsports Ford. Of course, T-Motor in the news a lot as of late with Kyle Long getting back into action with the NFL, and we'll see if those rumors come to be true, but I think he's enjoying seeing his driver making some moves here on the virtual racetrack tonight. Bottom's not going to work for 2, though, there. At 3, Corey Vincent going to get all the speed off the corner. He'll not only defend that spot, but he'll go to take the spot from the 66 of Blake Reynolds for 19th spot. Again, battle for 19th, right-hand side of your screen, and monitoring that gap between the top 3 cars on the left.
There's action all over this racetrack, Evan. It's kind of hard to watch one battle or the other, but it seems like the 44 again gets there. He's running a faster lap time, 9 times out of 10 per se. Every couple of laps, he's running faster than the 97. But it's you mentioned that bubble a little bit earlier. He gets there, and it's just like he can't make the move or kind of backs off a little bit. And then we see another charge, and oh, by the way, look at that 25 starting to creep into the picture. The teammate Logan Clampett, Nick Ottinger, is starting to make his way up here and try to make a 3-way dance for the top spot.
2 of the top 3 in the running right now are those entries from William Bonney Sports, who have been oh so good to this point this year. Of course, you talk about the team representation and what teams have been best. Actually, XSET has been the best of them all with Ryan Lewis and Casey Kerwin. They lead the team standings by a good margin. Team Dillon Esports quietly, Letarte Esports as well up in the mix. So those are some of the teams where amongst both of their drivers have been good to start 2021.
And 2 of the Team Dillon Esports drivers you just mentioned are running right here on this pack around 18th, 19th or so. And here comes the 32 of Keegan Leahy. We mentioned that window just barely opening at 60 to 65. It might be kicked open now with the VRS number 32 down here.
55 laps since these leaders last pitted, 58 laps to go. They are basically right on the money to come down pit road. The current lap times that these drivers are running, Tim, about 2 seconds and change slower than their fastest laps of the night, as smoke of the tires on the pit road that time is Shearburn. So there is benefit, I think, to coming down pit road on the short pit, getting fresh tires, and getting some track position right away. Still waiting on big names, though, from the top 5. Clampett, Gann, they will stay out. Nichols in 3rd does as well. No, the 17 to Wilson down pit road from 4th. And again, smoking the tires. A lot of drivers so aggressive, Tim. There's a ton of time that can be made up and lost on pit road entry.
It's Conti and pulling down on pit road. And the one thing we have to watch, we saw it precipitate our first caution flag of the evening, Evan, where we had a miscue, a miscommunication between drivers coming onto pit road. As long as we don't have that, we may see this, and it looks like the 97 to the inside, and he's coming to pit road. Isaac Gann going to lead this lap as Logan Clampett comes down.
And here's your last pit stop lap. Again, most of these drivers all came in on the caution flag all together down pit road. There is Clampett, so his number immediately updates. It's lap 107, and you'll see him drop down the running order. So he comes in. Gann decides to stay out for the moment. Still waiting on the 44 and company, but ton of drivers in, right? You got Davies, Guest, Maines all down pit road. Femi Olat leaving the pit lane now after he gets 4 tires. And look at this, 4 wide with cars blending back up on track. Tim Gann's in from the race lead, but this is the concern. Old tires, new tires, and that's how you get some sketchy situations like that.
You have to be patiently aggressive if you're those drivers. A couple more coming down. Jimmy Mullis and the 33 of Michael Guest also hitting pit road on this lap. But you have to be a little bit patient, but you know you have to go and get the good out of the tires. There's Mitchell DeYoung. He cycles back to the lead here.
Back to the race lead, and Casey Kerwin is right behind him, Tim. We haven't talked much about that second driver in the XSET duo. And Kerwin, of course, we've been talking about his teammate Luza a lot. DeYoung doesn't want to pit, but Kerwin does. He'll come in from second and again locks up the tires. Vicente Salas may have just sped on pit road. He was awfully close to the 50-mile-an-hour limit. I would not be shocked if he gets parked there for a penalty. All these drivers have been locking up the tires and smoking them onto pit road. I don't think a single driver hasn't done it.
Looks like we went ahead and spin on pit road as well as the McLaren Shadow entry comes down for service. But now if you're Mitchell DeYoung, how do you get down to pit road? You got traffic to the left, traffic to the right. It's going to be hard to get down there and find a spot. There's the 75 of Boosa going to make his way onto pit road.
Second half of the Bone Motorsports duo, even he's locking it up on the pit road. See how early his pit stall was? He had to adjust his entry because if he entered like everybody else going all the way to the right, he wouldn't have made his box. And that was well prepared for the driver of the 75. And again, in theory, each lap that DeYoung stays out, he's going to lose about 2 seconds or so to the cars who have already pitted. So if they come down pit road and he pits 5 laps later, that 2 seconds a lap's going to work out to about 10 seconds of time that he's losing. Now he'll make that back up. When he does pit, he'll have the better tires. He'll have to try to make up for the time lost as you see the number 6 and Nathan Lyon come in from the number 2 spot. But certainly DeYoung staying out much longer, Tim, than most other cars. There's only about 8 drivers or so left that still need to come in, and this could be tricky. Look out. To navigate pit road there, the 66 was coming out of the box, and the 6 was trying to get in his.
You saw Nichols on your screen from a little bit earlier, had that issue, and 23 continues to stay out on this racetrack. He'll lead one more lap coming down across the stripe. Ray Alfala has moved his way to position number 2, but and he's still on this racetrack as cars fly by him.
I mean, this doesn't shock me, right? Ray Alfala from 29th, as you see the 77. You see the Bob Bryant down pit road. You got Blade Witt up here from 36th on the grid. Zach Nichols from 30th on the grid. This doesn't shock me, right, Tim? We talked about those close encounters as the 47 locks it up and brings it onto the pit lane in for service. But normally it's the cars at the back of the field who stay out because maybe some of that chaos will cause an incident. They get a yellow, and then they kind of get a free exchange, right, and gain some track position. For Mitchell DeYoung, he was already up there with the leaders. Yes, he was struggling on this run, falling towards the back half of the top 10, but I mean, he has stayed out far longer than anybody else that was remotely near him. And it's interesting because his teammate, Keegan Leahy, was one of the first drivers in. DeYoung's going to prove to be one of the last. Just very interesting that those 2311 cars, total opposite ends of the strategy.
And he's working his way to the inside here, Evan. I think he's coming down onto pit road, and indeed, he will bring the DoorDash number 23 down onto pit road. And kind of a passive entrance compared to what we've seen from some of those other drivers. Attack that line. Ray Alfala will go to the top of the board here as he stays on the racetrack in the Gibbs Gaming number 51. But I'm kind of surprised as well. You saw some of those guys up in front. If Mitchell were to catch a caution at that point, or Ray were to catch a caution now, it looked golden because everybody's got extra sets of tires on pit road. They're likely all coming down, but Ray's hoping to catch one here in the next couple laps.
Waiting on Alfala, Witt, and Cook to come down pit road. Those are the only ones that, on that note, Alfala is in, and that'll put Blade Witt to the race lead for a moment in the number 14 machine. So he'll get a crack at the race lead, enjoy some of the clean air, and he and Kane Cook the only two still yet to come. Your net race leader is the number 25 of Nick Ottinger, your defending 2020 Series champion, Tim. One of the best who's ever done it in this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. He sits second on the all-time wins list with 2016. He has been in this series since 2012 and has never dropped out. He has been a staple on these Tuesday night races, and he's looking for a first win of 2021. Played the strategy well. His advantage is about 4 seconds at the moment. Once it'll update through, you're going to be looking at Logan Clamp, the difference there going to be a second to actually the next closest driver, his teammate. So it is William Byron Esports 1 and 2.
And that actually was asked for the lead with Kane Cook. Kane Cook trying to stay out, potentially maybe lead a lap, but didn't get there through that exchange. And the fistful of bourbon, number 15's been in the wall, I think about 20 laps ago or so. So sporting a little bit of damage, but still trying to get what he can in that 15. But the William Byron Esports teammates looking pretty sporty right now. 46 laps to go. They are the top two. They were working on the top two positions when they went down pit road, and Corey Vincent has a penalty on pit road.
Yeah, we saw a lot of drivers, Tim, pushing it on pit road entry, and it sounds like Corey Vincent was no exception. Let's see what happened to the driver as he comes off of turn number 4. Watch for the cone. He got 1 and 2 in, and that is not even close through the grass. Look behind him. That was spin that we saw for Blake Reynolds. Those two drivers nearly in the lawn on the front straightaway, and that is why we see a penalty for Corey Vincent. Tim nowhere near making that commitment cone.
Is that one of those things for Blake that if I'm sitting in the race car, or I'm going down the freeway, I'm following the car in front of me, and I'm looking at the bumper in front of me and trying to figure out what he's going to do? And I think when he saw Corey Vincent go sideways, I think he kind of saw the same thing. He was to the right side of the cone, or to the left side of the cone, I guess. So that's a good thing. He didn't get a penalty, but it definitely slowed down Blake on pit road with that spin.
We see that a lot, right? You're following in the tire tracks of somebody. Some guy drives into the wall off of 2, and the next dozen cars do. We see it all the time in real life. I immediately think back to the Cup Series race at the Roval, right? Everybody missing the heartburn turn 1, because you're kind of basing your braking points and how aggressive you are off the guy in front of you. So I think you're right there. No surprise that 2 cars back-to-back dicey on pit road, and that's going to hurt Corey Vincent a lot. He drops to 37th position, a lap down after that penalty. But look at the battle we have for the race lead now. Logan Clampett has caught the bumper of his teammate. Fast approaching is Isaac Gann, some 2 seconds behind, but side by side for the race lead, and Logan Clampett on the inside going to go to the lead at Atlanta.
Makes it look easy on his teammate. Blade Witt made the move by as well. He's on fresher tires. He gets back on the lead lap, and looks like the 18 of Femi Olan's got a little bit of damage. He'll go 1 lap in the rears of the Will Byron Esports teammates as they run down the back straightaway. JP, what do you got?
Now, many different drivers are talking about big picture when it comes to the pace of others. One of those, Graham, in regards to Michael Conti. Take a look.
Conti's going to put on a good pace, and he's been the fastest car at the end of every run.
Not the first one, we were.
No, but if you match his pace, we should get Toad there. If we have a little extra at the end, we'll probably get him.
Currently separated at the moment, these two drivers by about half a second on the racetrack. Bowen, a strong run, has been fairly confident throughout the night on that race car.
Yeah, this is where the math comes into play, Tim. All those decisions, right, on when to come down pit road, heavily influenced by the crew chiefs and the spotters, everybody else that is in the sim with these drivers. Sometimes these guys have as many as 5 different voices on their headset talking through strategy with them. And again, I kind of walked us through it with DeYoung. He gave up a lot of time by staying out a long time. He's got the better tires than anybody else. Mitchell DeYoung down in 24. That's an extreme example of what happens when you stay out, but all of those things are the gears turning in everybody's head right now, right? Clampett is being able to get around Nick Ottinger. He pitted 2 laps after Nick did. So Nick got the track position. Clampett with the better tires made the move pretty easily. This time by, going to be 39 laps to go from Atlanta. Can Logan Clampett hang on to get the race win? Find out when we come back. You're watching the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series from Atlanta.
This Coca-Cola Zero Sugar tastes mighty delicious.
Come on, buddy.
But
If you keep lying like this, you'll be a puppet forever.
It's the honest truth.
You're right. It's delicious.
I never lie.
I am here and now, where stories you pass down are born. I am drivers become legends, and legends become the new kings. I'm where things impossible. Even a champion rising again in Phoenix. I'm moving forward, and if you really try, you can catch me. I am NASCAR.
Back live from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. Coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And by ASUS, the official gaming hardware partner of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. In the home stretch here in the Atlanta 250, working lap number 129 of 163, Logan Clampett maintains his race lead. And, you know, we heard it with Jusan earlier in the night, Tim. One of the best things about this iRacing service is anybody can do it. Me and you, or the guys that actually know what they're doing down trackside, because with iRacing, every day is race day. And we encourage you to get your sim racing career started. For more information, you can log on to iRacing.com today. And if you're interested to learn more about the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, take a look at the schedule, standings, and how to get into this series. If this is where you want your career to go, it's iRacing.com/eNASCAR. I will say, Tim, looking back to Las Vegas, you know, the excitement there, and unfortunately I wasn't able to be there, but I think I had all our sponsors covered, okay, because I still tuned in, got myself an ASUS laptop, so highly recommend the G531 from our friends at ASUS, and I DoorDashed myself some dinner with a Coke to drink to watch the race. So even though I wasn't in the booth with you, I think we had all the bases covered.
I think that's everything. I think you got it all covered, and you enjoyed a great race from Las Vegas as well with the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. So all the boxes are checked. And looking at this battle, Nick Ottinger's been ripping the top a couple of laps and making a good run at his teammate. I think he's trying to stock something for later in this race and potentially maybe that Coca-Cola winning move of the race, trying to get close and trying to set up that pass. I'm keeping an eye on this. We're 32 laps away, still plenty of time, but just put that in the memory bank.
It has been a long green flag run so far tonight from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We talked about kind of historical context of this track and being able to look back at, you know, some of the last times we've been here. When Ray Alfalo won here last year, that race saw 4 yellow flags for 12 different lead changes. Not quite as wild in this one, but I feel like we've gotten away with a couple of half wrecks that maybe coulda, shoulda, woulda been a yellow, but you know, most of that contact has either just been cars getting into the fence and keeping it straight, or wrecking down it on the apron. We're watching up front. I thought that Isaac Gand was going to be able to close in on these guys up front a tad bit more, Tim. He's off in the horizon. There's 2 lapped cars between Clampett at Ottinger 1-2, and then Gand sitting in the number 3 spot. So just keep that in mind. He's 1.8 seconds off. He's kind of stalled out, though. So this may be the Logitech battle if this race can keep it green. 30 laps to go that time by.
And pit stop shaking up the lineup here. Mitchell DeYoung was running up front. He's now sitting back in 18th place. So he's got some work to do in the second half of this green flag run to what potentially could be the finish of this race. So plenty of storylines coming into this race and plenty of storylines still to follow in the final 30 laps. But Logan Clampett trying to get a little bit of a advantage on his teammate. It looks like he's pulled a couple of hundredths in the last couple of laps and trying to get a little bit of breathing room here.
It's all they want, right? Just a little bit of space. Taylor Hurst has got it. Let's ride with the 3. It's our Coca-Cola onboard camera. I think Taylor's back is getting a work in tonight, Tim. I guess if you're leaning that much to get the car to rotate, does that mean it's a little bit tight? I feel like if he leans any more in the corners, he's going to end up on the floor.
Yeah, I think he might be there before the end of the night, especially with 26 laps still left to go. But the one thing I'm seeing here, he's kind of got that half smile on his face. We see the game face and kind of the stone cold look by some of these other drivers that we see, but Taylor is kind of a little bit loose, I think, right now, kind of smiling, talking to his crew a little bit, having a good time. And, you know, when we get to some of these short tracks later on in the season, Evan, I fully expect Taylor Hurst to be up front battling for a win. So keep your eye on that as we see the 17 car on our screen. And this is a battle for third.
Hey, Hurst having a good night, by the way, up some 14 spots from the start of the race. But looking at that battle with the number 17 machine, of course, we talked quite a bit about Steven Wilson on the last run. He has continued to improve. 25 spots gained, is the biggest mover in the field. The driver out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and is under fire. Zach Nichols in the mix here. The number 29 machine is not going to allow him to just kind of stroll away with this one. He's reeled him back in since the pits has happened, but for a race with only one yellow, it's a pretty good showing for that Fastenal Ford.
Was strong a couple of weeks ago at Vegas and now backing it up with a great run here. And this might be the early season storyline as the 17 continues to rip off some really good runs. And we're not there yet to the finish, but could be another big finish as there goes Nichols to the inside. And they'll battle it out for that third place position, that final podium spot. And looks like that 29's got that run. Can he clear him here, though?
He'll get to the inside, which is going to allow Wilson to get the run off of the corner and fight back. It was a drag race to the stripe that time. Nichols by 6/1000ths of a second. And then right here, shorter way around. If he can slot up in front of the 17 to take that run away, that's going to be crucial. He does. Wilson goes to cross, a bit of a half block by Nichols, and this is great news for the guys up front because, of course, Clampett and Ottinger seeing other drivers battling means that their advantage is only going to continue to grow, Tim. Isaac Gand, by the way, remember, was running in this position. We thought that maybe he was going to be the one to cycle through to the race. He was third. He brought that car down pit road. His night is done. So now those top two are 5.5 seconds ahead of the side-by-side right now for third. They're in their own zip code in the battle for the race lead, and Nichols is not going to give this one up. The 17 and the 29 continue to scrap.
And we saw in a couple of those wider shots that Michael Conti's getting a little bit closer. He's saying, hey, boys, continue that side-by-side battle. I'm going to be there before this thing is all said and done. But it looks like the battle has subsided for the time being. But I'm interested to see how these final 20 laps go if they do go green for Nichols, because we saw him in that other run that we had coming to green flag pit stops. He was decent in the first half to the middle portion of the run, and then just kind of really didn't do anything with the final segment of that run. Right now looking good as we're coming to 20 laps to go, but see what happens in these final 20 and see what he does. But Michael Conti, that big red machine in behind, starting to get a little bit closer. I don't think this is all done here for this third place spot.
He's one of the drivers, I think, what I referenced earlier tonight, where some guys were saying, you know, it's going to be tough to pass. Track position is going to be important. Obviously not the end-all, be-all with all the drivers that are up 20-some-odd spots, but the green flag racing has been a big part of that. Have allowed these drivers to get a bit of strategy in the mix as well. But I think, Tim, we talked about it pre-race. We heard it on Countdown to Green. Would the outside be a viable option? And how many drivers would go up there? You can see Logan Clampett kind of middle of the road right now in the race lead, but we've seen a lot of movement all over the racetrack. I think that's a reason why so many drivers have been able to move through the field, is because they've got options to work with.
You mentioned our Countdown to Green show, Evan, and I want to make one point. The boys that made the picks tonight, all their picks are running in the top 10, including Brandon Cattell's with Michael Conti, who's in a top 5 run right now. So kudos to those guys. It's not over. We still got 18 laps to go. But kudos to those guys in that Countdown to Green show. I think they're on to something this week. Don't want to give them a whole lot of a leeway, but they did their job tonight by the looks of it.
I'll handle this one for you. It is a long 18 laps still to go in this race, and especially for somebody like Logan Clampett right way out in front, he's holding his breath. Somebody like Vicente Salas here in 15th position doesn't have time to, because he hasn't stopped fighting since this race began. You're looking up the road to the 9 of Michael Guest, the 36 of Chris Shearburn, and the 2 of Garrett Maines. It's a 4-way battle for 12th on back.
And you can't see it on this look, but Mitchell DeYoung is in behind him, the pole sitter from earlier tonight. And I think we see this little battle here, Chris Shearburn, Mitchell DeYoung. I'm kind of surprised they're not running a little bit closer towards the front of the field. Yes, they are in or around the top 15, but I almost expected them to be battling for, you know, a top 5 spot, maybe a win at the end of this one, but it's just hasn't panned out for those two, and Salas trying to get what he can in these final few laps, running 15. Great run off the board.
And how aggressive do you get here, right, to get a couple more positions? Guest has been pretty stationary tonight, running exactly where he started, but Chris Shearburn is somebody who has struggled with all the green flag racing that we've seen. He's been stellar. We mentioned him off at the top all season in qualifying. Those Letard Esports cars, the duo of him and Bobby Zelensky, a lot of good showings in the top 10, but long run, maybe not what the 36 was looking for tonight. So the 55 getting aggressive, clip the apron just a bit that time. That'll kind of wash that car up the road, but he's not going to be the first driver to get to the 36. Here comes Guest to the bottom.
Great move by the Big Green Egg number 9 for Jim Beaver Esports. We'll look to pick up one more spot here and fire up that grill and try to get a little bit closer towards the top 10 before this thing is all said and done. And there goes Salas to the inside of Shearburn, and Mitchell DeYoung looking to pick up the scraps and what's left and maybe pick up a couple of spots before this thing is all said and done. But another side-by-side battle. Here comes Space Station to the inside. Thought wiser of it, and now the 36 is Shearburn trying to take a look to that inside. What a great view this is.
And knock, knock, here comes Mitchell DeYoung looking to the inside. Salas going to make that car wide. He'll go all the way down to the apron, and it serves as not only a pass on the 36, but a bit of a block on the 23 there. Reset, look up the road, 2 car lengths of difference off of the back there of Michael Guest. This time by 13 laps to go. They're falling off, and there's far and few in between still to go. This battle just outside of the top 10.
Some of these drivers doing a little more skating around this old surface than some of the others are, and some have managed their tires a little bit better. Here's another great battle as the 8 of Michael Conti tries to take 4th place away. Steven Wilson had that great run, had lots of speed on the short run, but he may lose one more here.
Michael Conti has got 2 top 10s in 3 starts this year already. As noted, a race winner. That one came earlier this year in the season opener at Daytona, and looking for another good finish here tonight. To the inside, Wilson going to try to wind it up top, but he just doesn't have it for the WR1 Sim Chassis Chevy, and that Junior Motorsports number 8 car into 4th position. You're on board with Wilson as he tries to get back.
Took a look a little bit earlier. We mentioned those drivers in the earlier run slotting on the wheel and sawing on the wheel, and he has been this way all night long. A little bit of an adjustment there, but he has been he's been sitting up straight and focused, and really hasn't been moving that wheel a whole lot, Evan. We mentioned he was in a college dorm last week, and right now trying to ride it out to a top 5 run, but slip sliding away as Michael Conti drives away from the 17.
Clearly, racing isn't the only sport that he's into. I think, if I know by basketball, it's a Tyler Harrow jersey behind him, a Miami Heat jersey hanging as well. So keeping the dorms decorated as well. But that battle with Conti's done. The 8 car is totally checked out, and Wilson now going to do his best to hang on atop Graham Boland. Boland would be the next driver to get in on him, but that's about a second and change back. So he's going to try to ride out the final 9 laps of this race. And for a moment, up front, things are calm. Just at the tail end of the top 10, some side-by-side, as Casey Kerwin trying to snatch it away from Bobby Zelensky.
And this is 10th place. Look at that view to the inside. That is the 38 of Kerwin trying to make that inside move on Bobby Zelensky and trying to get that top 10 finish. You'd rather finish 10th than finish 11th. It's easier to say I got a top 10, right, Evan?
Yeah, exactly, right? Looks good on the stat sheet as well. You'll feel a lot better, I feel, of the P10 than you will for the P11, and the 1-point difference isn't the reason, right? Stats. It's all about finding a silver lining, and again, these two drivers have had very different nights. Bobby Zelensky started second. He's fallen back to P10. Casey Kerwin started 17th and has driven up to 11th. They're 3 wide with some lap traffic on the outside. Bobby Zelensky using that speed up top, but Tim, they've stayed side by side for so long. Here comes Garrett Maines. He might just steal it from both of them.
Yeah, we might see Garrett Maines take that top 10 finish away from both Bobby Zelensky and Casey Kerwin. He's been ripping the top and making speed the last few laps, but he's got to get by them, and it might be easier said than done. There goes the 2 to the inside. Casey Kerwin has a little bobble, and enter Garrett Maines. He's here for the party and wants to take that top 10 run away.
Been moving real nice in the offer pad entry. He'll slide up, but leave just enough room for Casey Kerwin to stay up top. And again, you can see Garrett Maines kind of stormed onto the scene here, but on the bottom, you don't get as good of a run off the corner. Zelensky on the inside. Maines down to the apron, but it's Kerwin with the run off of 2. That's going to get ahead of the 2, slice to the inside, and try again for P10.
What a great battle these guys are putting on. A lot of respect in between these drivers here. Letting it go. Casey Kerwin going to pick up the spot. Now what does Bobby Zelensky and Garrett Maines do to get past that exit Ford to try to take away that final top 10 spot? And oh, by the way, is that Salas back there trying to reel these guys in?
I was just about to say it. One of the harder working drivers in the field tonight. Salas is closing in. Maines got here because the other 2 were fighting with themselves. Maybe the 55 enters the party as a 4th car. Kerwin from high to low, then back up to the outside wall, trying to protect. And I think finally he's got that spot. Zelensky drops to 12th, but how long will it be lived? Because here comes Maines looking to the inside with 5 laps to go. Fakes now, looks to the top.
And as they are battling, I think they're catching Graham Boland too. So the accordion is coming together as see the 2 work to the inside. Some great camera work by Drew Adamson and his crew. And there goes that back to the back, and the 38 of Casey Kerwin trying to hold it off.
But Alex Horn on the drone cam a little bit earlier, and all our camera ops that are remoting him to give us all of these angles. Of course, the entire team and iRacing HQ bringing you coverage here tonight for the full race of this 2021 campaign. Now inside of 4 laps to go from Atlanta Motor Speedway. They are all going to migrate up to the outside wall with the exception of Bobby Zelensky on the bottom. 9th place is in play. They've caught Graham Boland. Kerwin looking to the bottom.
And now Graham Boland has to try to hold on as the Smithfield number 10 to the outside may fall out of the top 10 here because there's a couple of drivers in behind that are trying to catch them. And oh, by the way, Ryan Lewis is not too far up the road. And we're closing in on the final 3 laps of competition. This is far from over.
A bit of a crinkle on the right quarter panel of that 10. I wonder if that may be having an effect on Graham Boland being a little bit slower here at the end of this run. And as you look up the road now to Garrett Maines, you're on board with Graham Boland there, and he looks like he'll probably finish this one 11th where he sits now, or maybe even 12th. Zelensky not that far off either. But at the front of the field, Logan Clampett going to by next time through to take the flag. Tim looking for a 3rd career win. Another one of those drivers that has been a staple in this year's made his debut in 2016. He hasn't dropped out since. A career best, a championship of 2nd in 2017, and he's 1 lap away.
And he's driven away from that number 25 of Nick Ottinger. He is about 2 seconds ahead. There's really no pressure from behind, and he can see it wide-eyed as he exits corner number 2 down the back for the final time in Atlanta.
Last race win came in 2018 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A couple of team changes since then, and he's going to end a 44-race winless drought. Final time at turn number 4. It means a lot to him. Logan Clampett wins at Atlanta. That, Tim, is what it means to win a race in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. You are never guaranteed a shot to get back here and do it again. And even after now 6 years of competing at this level, he gets his 3rd career win, and that's how much it means to him. This will lock him in for a chance to fight for a championship.
He moved teams as well in the offseason. He was with Kligerman Sport. He moves over to William Byron Esports, so it's you're getting a new chance with a new team, and he's put them in victory lane. He's teammates with Nick Ottinger. There's his roommate coming up to him on the racetrack. That is Michael Conti. They both have wins this season. It's been a really good start of the year for that camp.
That room has more wins than most drivers in this series. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Now a 3-time winner, Logan Clampett, made that change to join defending series champion Nick Ottinger, who comes home in 2nd. What a night for Logan Clampett. What a night for William Byron Esports.
And time now to collect his thoughts and try to take a deep breath here, because he was so focused on that run, Evan, to try to pull away and try to gap his teammate, and he was able to take it by about 2 seconds or so, and that gap kind of stabilized in the last 10 laps. We really didn't have a whole lot of attention on it near the end of the race, but Logan did what he had to do to pick up another win, and there's the roommate in behind.
He congratulated him on track, and he comes over and gives him the pat on the back, the Polish victory lap for Logan Clampett as he gets the race win here from Atlanta. Tim, I almost think that him having that advantage made that end more stressful than if he was actually in a fight, right? If you're fighting with somebody, you don't have time to think about making a mistake, don't have time to think about how this could go wrong. He executed that final cycle of pit stops perfectly, started this race 7th, drove himself to the race lead, and then he just had to hold his breath for that 50-lap run to the end, and he didn't make a mistake.
And his teammate is going to finish right behind him as well. William Byron Esports 1-2 tonight. That's big. The roommate finishes in 4th. I'm sure there's going to be a party here this evening.
Let's take a look at our Coca-Cola move of the race, and it is all on his own. Open it up to a 2-second advantage over his teammate Nick Ottinger. We saw that pass for the race lead happen with about 30 and some change laps to go in this race. Nick Ottinger kept it clean, didn't let Clampett pull away though. He held with him for some time, but at the end of this one, the 97 Bassine stretched it out, clean track in front, his 3rd career win in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, and these wins mean more than ever now, as again, that win locks him in to the playoffs. He becomes the 4th different race winner in 4 races this season. Let's take a look at our Coca-Cola full race results. You see the margin of victory amongst the teammates. Logan Clampett and Nick Ottinger come home 1-2 with Zach Nichols, a great showing in 3rd. We'll try to talk with all of them in just a bit. You got some Junior Motorsports teammates, Michael Conti and Steven Wilson in between them, with Brad Davies right there, P6. Keegan Leahy hangs on for a 7th. The X-Set duo, I mentioned the best team so far this year, gets Luza and Kerwin home in 8th and 9th, and Garrett Maines rounds out your top 10.
One of the hardest working drivers at the end, Vicente Salas, coming home in 11th. Graham Boland falls to 12th at the end. Michael Guest, Bobby Zelensky was fighting for that top 10 run at the end, comes home in 14th. Matt Busa in 15th. Chris Shearburn drops to 16th after having a top 5 starting position in this one. Dylan Duval in 17th. Taylor Hurst 18th. Mitchell DeYoung from the pole to 19th. And Nathan Lyon in 20th.
Continue it on through. Jimmy Mullins and Ralph Allen, some of the drivers who were in the 30s for much of this night, are able to drive themselves up and get good midfield results, along with Garrett Lowe in 23rd. Ryan Doucette finishes 24th. Blade Witt comes home in 25th. A quiet night for Malik Ray. Don't know if we checked in with that space station driver at all tonight. He gets P26. Jake Nichols is 27th. Zach Novak, 28th. Bob Bryant falls to 29th. And Alan Bowes, first driver off of the lead lap, gets 30th.
Jake Matheson comes home in 31st, 32nd is Kane Cook, Corey Vincent, Brian Schoenberg, Derek Justice. Oh, what might have been for JTG tonight with Derek Justice comes home in 35th. Femi Olot, Blake Reynolds, John Gorlinski, Isaac Gann again, great run early, comes home 39th, and Ashton Crowder in 40th. Let's go down to victory lane and catch up with our winner, the driver of the number 97. It is Logan Clampett. And Logan, we saw the emotion. How are you feeling now after taking that victory lap and getting to here into victory lane?
Oh my gosh, man. I'm so emotional. Oh my gosh. It's been 2.5 years. and it's been 44 races. I moved down here with Michael to change my life, and this game has just changed my life so much. And it's my first time, my first win, being away from my parents and stuff like that, and I'm glad I'm glad I have my friends to celebrate with. They're like family. Nick, Michael, Adam, Hastings, my spotter and crew chief, J-Lo, Busa, and Dustin Hall, and many more. I love them all. We put so much time into this, and so much has gone on the past 2.5 years. So it's when I was crossing the line to take the white flag, it didn't even feel real, man. Like I was, it felt like I was high off myself. Like I don't know like how to explain it. It's just like I don't know. It's just so emotional, and thank you so much to Logitech and William Byron for bringing me on for this year. It's so cool to get a 1-2 finish for our team. I'm sure my family back in California, they're probably super emotional right now. So, oh my gosh, this is definitely my biggest and most emotional win. I've never cried over a win before. Not even my Mazda win back in 2019. So it's just been a long time coming, and I can't thank everyone enough. All my supporters over the years and stuff like that. It's very hard to win in the series, very, very hard, and thankfully we got the right strategy down, made the right adjustments on the last pit stop there, and thankfully qualified good for this race. So I can't thank everyone enough. NASCAR, iRacing, William Byron Esports, Logitech, my Team Conti teammates, and Drill Isle. They help us out a little bit here and there every week. And my family, my friends, my supporters again, and my spotter and crew chief J-Lo. I'm so happy to finally get a win with him, and this feels like a lot of redemption after what happened at Daytona. I was so heartbroken because I knew I had a decent shot to win that race, and we're finally locked into the playoffs finally, but we have to finish top 20, which we've done every season, so hopefully that won't be too difficult. Last year we almost made the playoffs, and with our results, the 3 races in the playoffs, we possibly could have made the final 4 to compete for the 100 grand. So I'm sorry I'm rambling on so much, but this is just so cool for me, and so emotional.
And it's great to see the emotion, and I think you covered all the bases. I got one more question though. Where did that 8 banner come from behind you?
Oh, Michael's just joking around and stuff. Little sponsorship there on he got his new rig and stuff, so it's cool to see him get P4 on his new wheel and new rig as well. So overall, this just we're gonna be celebrating for a while, man. This is so cool.
Go celebrate! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Logan Clampett is your winner tonight, and let's talk to his teammate, driver the number 25, the defending series champion, Nick Ottinger, has joined us now. And Nick, second place, you were able to kind of stabilize that gap at the end to about 2 seconds, but what else did you need here tonight to get up to your teammate?
Man, it's first off, what a win for Logan and this William Byron Esports team. We had a 1-2 tonight, and I'm so proud of Logan. He's been wanting one for a couple of years, and I mean, he's plenty fast enough and proved it tonight. And I definitely wanted that win too, but we tried jumping those two in front of us on the pit stop, and we did. Just a little bit of a tire advantage just to try to hold Logan off, and I couldn't do it. He was too fast. We were on the same stuff, and he willed it tonight. So I'm proud of this Logitech G team tonight, and it's cool seeing Logan's emotion and hearing it. It is finally coming full circle for him. It's pretty cool.
It's great to see the teammates get a top 2 finish for William Byron Esports, but I want to ask you, 4 races, 4 different winners, boats getting full up in front. What do you have to do to lock yourself in and not have to rely on points?
One spot better, I don't like letting one slip away, but when you're on second to your teammate, and I mean, you had to pass a little more cars than him to at least try to contend for the win. That's all you're going to ask for. We brought a bad fast Chevy, Logitech G Chevy, and we're going to continue that every week. This is where we start building our cars to be a little bit better, and I'm so excited for it. I mean, it's filling up, but we see who can really run consistently up front, and we just got to qualify up there.
Sounds like there's a celebration you need to get to. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Yeah, Logan may be in for one. He ain't 21 yet, so he needs to calm down.
So it might be orange juice tonight.
Yeah,
Nick
orange juice and apple juice.
There you go. Nick Ottinger comes home position number 2 to his teammate, and Zach Nichols comes home in position number 3 tonight. One of the rookies. Did you expect to be up here on the podium in just your 4th start in the series?
Honestly, no. I didn't know we had the speed for today, but obviously it showed. We had a couple cars up front, and unfortunately Isaac, he had some stuff happen that dropped him back to allow me to get 3rd, but I think he deserved it a little bit more than I did, but yeah.
How important was managing the speed on the green flag run? Because we kind of saw in that second run that you kind of stabilized around the top 5, but it seemed like you had a little more speed on that last run to the checkered. How important was that trying to manage that?
Yeah, I mean, our long run speed was pretty good. I don't know. It's kind of hard to keep the tires on when you're running the top, but we somehow managed to be able to do it, so that's pretty good.
How much momentum does this give you with a podium run here tonight in your rookie season?
I mean, hopefully we can continue the speed we have. We just gotta work on a little bit of Q, and hopefully we can get her done.
Well, it's good to see you up here. Congratulations on a top 3 run. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That's Zach Nichols coming home in position number 3 here this evening. And Evan, you want to talk about a pumped-up top 3, 2 teammates that I'm sure are going to celebrate a little bit here. A rookie on the podium, and hey, 2 weeks' time, we're heading back out west.
The California kid gets the win tonight at Atlanta, and we do go back out west next time out, 2 weeks' time from the Virtual Auto Club Speedway. Tim, if you're a fan of this track, this is the only NASCAR race you'll see there this year. It is a very fun track, of course, sister to the track at MIS. That'll be the regular season finale. Could be a little bit of preview of things to come, and it's always a wild one. A track that has produced many first wins, in series history. Could be the last time we see this 2-mile configuration used.
And we saw what we saw tonight with drivers moving around and trying to find some grip on this old surface. We go to Auto Club next week, which always brings us some great racing with this series. I think with what we saw tonight, it's going to be elevated. And now we have 4 winners in 4 different races. Do we get a 5th in 2 weeks?
You said it. The boat's getting full, right? We may run out of space. Good news is, Tim, we expanded the playoffs this year, right? Went from 8 drivers to 10. I think we might have to burn up those extra 2.
Somebody might have to point their way in with a win. We see it with the NASCAR Cup Series as well. There's drivers getting wins that we anticipated to be here, and that shows the competition in this series. But who's going to be the odd man out? There's probably going to be somebody with this competition that doesn't win a race and doesn't point their way in. I'm excited to see how this season has already shaped up, and we continue to move forward. Auto Club in 2 weeks going to be a barn burner.
It's not that the guys who have won aren't big names, Tim, but there's too many big names to fit in a 10-driver playoff, right? There's too many, I think, championship caliber drivers to fit in a 4-driver finale. So we're in store for a great rest of the 2021 season. Until next time, though, that's it for us here tonight for the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. So on behalf of our entire team back at iRacing, our Countdown to Greek crew, and everybody else involved in making this broadcast possible, for Tim Terry and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Logan Clampett, your race winner tonight from Atlanta and 4th different winner this season. We're back in 2 weeks' time on the 30th for the Virtual Auto Club Speedway. That race and every race of the 2021 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Until next time, good night from Atlanta.